So just got a question here about worth. I just saw the number of Aaron Rodgers signing in Pittsburgh and what the cash would be. And I had to guess. Like, have you seen the number yet, Nelly? Like how much Aaron Rodgers signed for in Pittsburgh?
I heard, isn't it going to be 12 or 15 million?
Okay. Yeah, I would have guessed that number was somewhere in like 30 to 30 something. But it's 13.65, 10 million guaranteed, a chance to earn 19.5 million with incentives. Okay. A lot lower than I thought the price would be. And then I thought, what if I compared that to something else? Do you know who got a $10.5 million contract with a chance to earn up to $21.5 million this year? Russell Wilson did. And maybe Rodgers signed a team-friendly deal. I don't know, maybe. Or maybe the league just values Aaron Rodgers at the same rate as they do Russell Wilson now. Which is odd to think about considering the Broncos were in on both of those quarterbacks 4 years ago. I mean, those were the two names, right? We all thought with the signing of Hackett, they were going out and getting Aaron Rodgers. That's how it felt. And then Aaron Rodgers announced, I still remember this, announced that he is staying in Green Bay. And Russell Wilson, about an hour after that announcement, there's the announcement that he's been traded to Denver. But both of those guys that I think were seen at the time as like, oh my God, if you can trade for these two, and this applies to any team that was in need of a quarterback, if you can trade for either one of these two guys, and you are in amazing shape. And both of them turned out to be complete and utter disappointments for the teams that they went to. You know, Russell was fine in year 2, but certainly not what you traded for. Not what you gave up all that draft capital for. Aaron Rodgers, you know, it is one of the better what-ifs in recent NFL history anyway. If he doesn't rip the Achilles apart on, was it the 3rd or 4th play of the season? You know, they had all that juice inside of New York, and they thought the Jets were going to be something, and still remember he's running out of the tunnel with the American flag on opening night. And then, boom, season's over immediately. In comes Zach Wilson. You know, for a 40-year-old to have that type of injury, it's going to take a lot away from him. I think we saw that last year. I don't know how Pittsburgh's going to go. My guess with him is I don't think it's going to go well. The Steelers will be okay. They'll win, you know, somewhere in the 8-9 range, maybe like 10 at the top end, but not be a legitimate threat really for anybody. But for him to sign for the same amount of cash as Russell Wilson is surprising. I mean, they're right there in the same ballpark with each other. So a couple things here. I heard Raj and Coach talking about this yesterday. Sounded like a little bit of fairy tale land. What would it take for Bo Nix to be an MVP candidate this season? And the answer is a lot. Now, here's what Bo Nix does have that I think in context of these discussions would make it at least a viable opportunity. And he's got the ability to run. And if you have that, if you look at guys who have won MVP at that position, I think running the football at that spot and be able to do some different things, you know, like a Josh Allen, like a Lamar Jackson, like a Jaden Daniels, like some of these different guys, like a Jalen Hurts even across the league. Like, it's going to add a whole bunch more statistics that you can pile on top. And I truly feel as if it can give him a boost. But for him to be even remotely in that conversation, they're going to have to win and win a lot. Like a ton of games. And I'm just wondering, I'm trying to look this up on the fly here. All right, so here you go. The chances to be MVP next season. And I'm trying to find where Bo Nix is at on this list. Because it's not going to be high. It would be a super, super, long-term play. You want to take steep odds to try and give yourself the best shot. So he right now is at plus 7,500. So that is tied with J.J. McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers, Michael Penix, Bryce Young, and Geno Smith. People ahead of him, by the way. Sam Darnold at plus 7,000. Drake May at plus 6. Trevor Lawrence at plus 4. So, yeah, a ways away. But I will give them this. If you're looking at a long-term play and you think that the Broncos are going to be better than what they were last year, I think it's worth throwing a couple of bucks down if you believe that. And that's where I'm not quite there. I think the schedule's tougher. I think the Broncos' hope is this, that they stay around the same win total. Because I don't think it's going to grow a lot more from where it was last year. You remember last year they had the rough start followed by the nice middle and then the weird sort of end. But they still finished at 10-7. Could they get to 11? Yeah. And if they get to 11, your hope is that Kansas City falls, which I think is possible, and you're a division winner. So I think that stuff is on the table. But Bo Nix did so much better with so much thrown at him last year. Like, he was not eased into this by any means. Bo Nix came out of the gates, and he was asked, you got to go out there and win games for us. Like, I will never forget the first. How's this for a number, by the way? I just saw this. You want to know how much Bo Nix was thrown into the fire, Nelly? The first game of his career on the road at Seattle. Tough environment with a really tough defense. He attempted 42 passes in that game. It's the most of any game in the regular season last year for him. That's how much Sean Payton was like, hey, bro, we're here. Get after it. His next game, game 2 against Pittsburgh, another tough team, 35 pass attempts. The next game, at Tampa, 36. Again, there is just no easing your way into this. It's you're going to throw it, okay? Huge part of the offense. And on top of all that, he was rushing 5, 6, 7, 8 times a game. Taking off and scrambling, which means the dropbacks are even higher than that. But that's what I'm talking about. It's not like I think if anybody was built to not have that year 2 wall, it's the guy who attempted that many passes and made his way out of it. And you can say, well, they have more tape on him now. Well, they had more tape on him at the end of the season. And at the end of the season is when he started throwing touchdowns. Had a couple of games where he was really bad with the interceptions. That was Indianapolis and that was Cleveland. He had 5 combined in 2 straight weeks. But he also had, in the final 7 games of the regular season, 4 touchdowns, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 4. That is, in the final 8 games, it was 7 multi-touchdown pass games. They had tape on him then, too. Like, I'm not really all that concerned about Bo Nix hitting the wall The only way I could truly see that happening is if his O-line can't stay healthy. Then you'd be in some trouble. But you know what? I heard Raj and Coach talking about it yesterday, and I'm like, if there was, for me, an opportunity to throw, a few bucks on some long shot thing that could pay off big, or if nothing else, maybe he's in the conversation late in the year, you could do a cash out for a ton of money, then yeah. I think it wouldn't be the dumbest thing in the world to try that. Not at all. You can always watch the show live on Twitch, twitch.tv, search Altitude SR in the search bar, the Altitude TV simulcast, and that is the Safeway Twitch feed. Order online, Safeway does the rest. Get easy delivery or free pickup with the same great deals. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app. Safeway, fresh foods, local flavors. Can also watch on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Altitude Sports Radio, subscribe to the channel today, and don't miss anything from Denver's #1 sports station, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Moser, Lombardi, and Kane next.
Frederick's going off. He broke his stick on Sam Bennett. In comes Jonah Gadjevich, and he's swinging for the fences, and in comes A.J. Greer as well. And Greer grabs a hold of an Oiler, and we've got a good old-fashioned Donnybrook now. 9:31 left in the third. Greer swinging away at an Oiler right in front of the bench.
And now Bennett getting popped from behind, and this one ready to explode, and now Bennett's on top, and now we've got mayhem breaking out. Gadjevich and Greer, big punches landed. Gadjevich throwing left hands on Darnell Nurse. That's the principal bout here. Gadjevich and Nurse as Greer roughed up Ekholm.
Gadjevich trying to get the takedown, Jack.
And Jonah has him held back here. He gets a left in there and a big right hand from Gadjevich.
If Gadjevich gets his hands free here.
Look out if Darnell Nurse isn't able to escape this one. Gadjevich has him held back. There's the right hand. And Jonah Gadjevich is swinging for the fences. Nurse trying to fight him off. A couple of body shots from Darnell Nurse, and there's another one right to the mandible. And now over to the far side of the ice, we've got Nate Schmidt and Connor Brown. They're locked together. Gadjevich and Nurse still swinging away. Oh, my goodness. Jonah Gadjevich continuing to land shots up high on Darnell Nurse.
Nurse getting that right hand free. Takes a chopping right. And another right hand and a left jab. Nurse fires back with a right uppercut. And a second right hand over the top. Right hook Gadjevich. Tremendous fight right at the blue line in front of the Oiler bench.
Fatality. Finish him.
Panthers Radio Network, Oilers Radio Network on the call. Been over this. You guys wouldn't understand, but Nelly would. A whole bunch of other people would. Scorpion was my guy.
Finish him.
Get over here.
Fatality.
You a Mortal Kombat guy there, Vic?
Huh?
Yeah, that's what I thought the response would be. By the
I
way,
do love when a Stanley Cup final game goes rogue, goes completely off the deep end. That was enjoyable.
Hey, Moj, do me a favor, put on your headset and be my radio co-host today. Because I have a thought. That felt really weak from Edmonton for me last night. Really weak. I know you get your butt kicked, so it's getting a little bit chippy. But squirting water bottles from your bench to their bench. Who did that wall?
Jake Wallman.
Wallman. Throwing just straight cross checks to the back of Bennett, snapping a stick over it, like all this. I enjoy watching the fights. I actually, at the end of the game, Vic was like, all right, enough. Then just stop the game, because there's no more game anymore.
I love the goonery. Absolutely love it. The game hasn't had it for years. They've taken it out, and when a Stanley Cup final brings it back, let's go. I love it.
Thought it was weak.
I would act the same way if I were losing. I would do the same thing.
What you thought? What was weak?
I just thought Edmonton, the way they carried themselves at the end of that game. You know what it felt like?
Yeah.
It felt like we aren't as good as them, so let's just do this instead. If I'm Florida, it's like, good. So I got you right where I want you.
That's exactly correct.
That's you're 100% right. And you know what? If I were in that position, I'd do the same thing. If you were beating me,
you've not said anything inaccurate today, but you act like you don't like it. You act like it's bad.
If you were beating me and the game was over, I would do whatever I could to hurt you.
Right to the mandible.
So I said the same thing in Game 5.
Okay, hang on a second.
I mean, what's hard to understand about
it's
that?
It's not hard to understand. I said it. It's not like I don't understand it. I think it's really weak-minded from Edmonton. That's all. It's a 1-1 series that was going to be 2-1. Okay, fine. That's all I'm saying.
No. You know what, Moser? I don't know how you feel, but if I'm going to lose big and go down 2-1, I'm going to leave a mark.
Well, if they're frustrated, they're being completely outplayed, they're being completely out-hit. When Florida plays their physical game and their blank you attitude type of game,
they're better.
Edmonton cannot play with them. They can't beat them. And so that boils over once the game once it's 4-1, the game's out of hand, in my opinion. Then it's 5-1, then it's 6-1, and then everything else happened in between. If you're playing, see, this is where my hockey geekdom comes out, and you guys can pounce on me if you want to. Go ahead.
No, I think I'm going to agree with you wholeheartedly.
This is where, Brett, when you win the Stanley Cup, you're not just winning a championship. You are. But you're winning immortality.
Sure.
Hockey immortality. Are people going to know who won the NBA championship with blah, blah, blah in 2003? Yeah, the 10th guy in the rotation. There's nowhere to find it unless you look it up online. But people don't. The Stanley Cup has your name on it.
Right.
And it will always have your name on it until after you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Then, eventually, that ring will go into the Hall of Fame. And anybody who goes to the Hall of Fame will be able to see your name on the Stanley Cup ring. This is a winner.
Yeah?
We've got a good old-fashioned Donnybrook now.
It's hockey immortality. Okay. It's hockey immortality. Nelly, could you do me a favor? Find the Florida Panthers guy again. That's Doug Plagans. The Oilers guy is Jack Michaels, who's actually their TV guy. But when he's not doing TV, he does the radio stuff, right? Jack is, he's in his 40s, normal-sounding dude, whatever. Dougie cracks me up because, as I showed you yesterday, he looks nothing like he sounds, does he?
He looks like a kid.
Okay,
yeah, he's clearly in his, I think he's got to be in his mid-30s.
How about this? I got a different way to say it then. It felt fake tough from Edmonton yesterday.
Of course it did.
That's what bothered me. It's fake.
Of course it is.
Yeah. It is fake tough. They got nothing else.
I still don't understand what you're offended by here.
Look, it's not that even that I'm offended. I just think it looks weak. I think it looks weak.
It does.
Fake tough guys.
It
Do
does.
you think they care what you think it looks like?
So hang on a second. We're not disagreeing, and it sounds like tone-wise we're disagreeing. I don't understand.
Because you don't seem here for it.
I'm 100% for goonery.
Everything you've said is correct, but I'm here for it, and you're not.
Let me take it a step further, Moshe. I would have enjoyed, and listen to me, this is a different sport. I would have thoroughly enjoyed when the game got away from the Nuggets in Game 7 if they had pulled some of the same stuff. I have no problem with it.
In fact, I would also argue to you that
not joking.
So if you get your butt kicked, your response is to go fight somebody instead.
Yeah.
That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, when who was the guy on Minnesota who tried to windmill dunk when they were up 20?
Yeah, Jaden McDaniels.
Okay,
Vic, you want somebody to put an elbow in his face.
100. Not an elbow in his face. An elbow in the back of his head.
That would have made a lot of sense. Because that's a guy that's being a jerk and rubbing it in. You want to throw down with that guy? That's fine. I think you getting your butt kicked and then your response is, I guess I'll just punch somebody in the face, is a weak call. Because it's like, how about this?
I never said punch somebody in the face. I'm not in a basketball game.
You just were talking about Game 7 with OKC.
No. There's different. You do it differently in a basketball game. I'm talking about a hard foul. I'm talking about if somebody wants to get around you, you don't let them get around you. You foul it up. You goon it up. It's
now
different.
Hastings
I'm not talking about hurting. I'm not physically trying to. I'm talking about changing the tone of the game entirely.
I understand that, but in hockey, punching people in the face is an allowed thing that you can do.
Okay, I guess my question to you is,
I would just say this. Brett, how about you don't play that poorly? How about that?
What you would like to have seen them do is just take it, put their tail between their legs, and go to the room.
They looked foolish.
Did they look foolish? Absolutely, they did in every possible way.
If Florida's winning by 4 goals and they're doing a whole bunch of other dirty stuff, if they're trying to clip guys, if they're throwing cross checks at their necks, that's a different thing.
Florida plays on the edge, and you know it. Florida already plays on the edge.
They do play on the edge. Yes, I don't think Edmonton's all that much different though. That's all I'm saying.
I come from the school. Send a message. Whether the message is received or if it works against you, you've done your part. Send a message.
I agree. They sent a message, and to me, the message was, God, we aren't as good as you guys.
You're right.
That's what I'm saying.
You're probably right.
Call me a Neanderthal. I have no problem with that. But I'm with Vic. There are times when if somebody, let's say you're down 10-1 in Game 3 of the World Series, right? You've just given up 2 dongs,
right?
And then you plunk the next guy up, no matter who it is. Could be the 9-hole hitter, doesn't matter. Do you look petty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the same time, you start a little bit of a brawl, little bench clearer type of thing. That, you know what I'm saying? No problem with that whatsoever. Nope. You know what? We're getting our teeth kicked in. We can't beat you. But you're going to wear this one in the numbers.
Here's what it comes to, and perhaps you're a better person than we are. Right, what it comes down to,
This isn't about morals for me.
No, it's not about morals. I'm talking about emotional aptitude on the playing field. You are more emotionally aware and balanced, I guess. my emotions would get the best of me, and I would goon it up 100 out of 100 times if I'm getting my butt kicked, especially on that stage.
I guess to be more clear about it, this isn't like a sportsmanship thing that I'm talking about. That's not it. I think it would make myself look like a weak player. I'm admitting you're better than I am, which I would never want to do.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
In that particular game, Florida was better in the last 2 games.
So me and Moser in a boxing match, right?
Yeah.
And Moser's just clipping me. I mean, we're in round 8. He's won all the first 7 rounds, but he hasn't gotten me on the ground yet, right?
Yeah.
And so I decide, you know what? I'm not as good. I'm going to kick him in the nuts now.
Yeah, pop
That's
him
what
one.
it feels
I was
like.
thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Like you kick him in the nuts. I'm like, that feels so weak for me to have to resort to that. Is what I'm talking about.
You do
That's
what you
all I'm
gotta do.
saying.
Brett,
it's not a sportsmanship thing. It's admitting
that you're not as good, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That they got the better
Brett.
of us physically and mentally. Yes.
Hey, Brett, have teams and players that are not as good won games before against teams and players that are better? Okay.
Yes, they have.
And that, at the end of the day, is what it is. You just find a way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, this series isn't 3-0. It's 2-1.
Brett, there's some sort of miscommunication going on here.
And
let me make it.
We've never disagreed with any of your tenets. We just disagree with.
But you're using an argumentative tone with me, so I want to be argumentative back.
Steve, Nelly, am I being argumentative
you're not.
this morning? I'm being very calm.
You're talking to my guy all wrong, Vic. It's the wrong tone.
This guy right here is so soft that he thinks this is a strong tone.
Hold on, Vic. Let me try and put it in as simple a way as I possibly can. And I'm going to do my best to communicate on this program from now on, okay? I've reiterated it time and time again, but you're not listening to me.
Okay.
Everything you've said is 100% accurate.
Okay.
You are completely right. Edmonton looked pathetic. They had nothing. They look pathetic on the ice. They look pathetic when they're picking fights with guys who
I agree.
Are like laughing in their face.
Yes.
They look like morons.
They look broken and beaten.
Brett, that was the other thing, too.
But my point is this. In that particular game, they have nothing else. Mm-hmm. They have literally nothing else.
Moj,
squirting water at a Florida bench when you're getting your heads kicked in is a joke. But that's what. But you
look like a loser.
Yes.
Hey, Kane.
What is so hard to understand?
Let me give you the best evidence why we're not surprised.
This is why I don't get it. You're right, and then he wants to call me an M.
Brett, let me give you the best evidence. Did you watch the postgame show on TNT?
I did not want to call you an M. I threw another letter after the M.
Brett, did you watch the postgame show with 4 great hockey minds?
I actually did not. I went to bed.
Postgame show? Do you think at some point in the postgame show they were going, oh, my God, this is one of the worst? No. They're like, yeah, it's hockey. Mm-hmm. All 4 of them, including the great one. Biz, all of them. They're like, yeah, that happens.
And I may be a Neanderthal, Brett.
Yeah.
But the fact that hockey has that avenue available to you,
I love it.
I think it's spectacular.
I think it's one of the few sports left where if you're getting your ass beat, you do dumb stuff.
I need you to understand something. Fully enjoyed watching the fights.
You don't sound like you did, Brett.
No.
So what's the problem?
Again, I'm sitting over here.
See,
it doesn't
this
sound
is
like you did.
7:15. Now your tone is, I fully enjoyed watching it.
I did enjoy it. I said it made Edmonton look like a bunch of losers.
Pick a lane,
That's all I said.
Pick a lane.
See, this is the argumentative tone I'm talking about. Both of you guys are sitting here arguing with me when I just said, oh, I agree with you.
You're talking to my guy all wrong. It's the wrong tone.
I said it made Edmonton look weak. It did. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. It made them look weak, which you both said you agree with.
You know what I'm
so
rooting
why
for?
are you yelling at me again?
I'm rooting for Game 4 where Edmonton goes up 5-1, and the exact same thing happens to them, compliment Florida. Let's go.
They better win Game 4. They better win it.
Well,
or
it's
over.
Or it's over. I agree. And that's
or else
exactly what they were investing in.
If they don't win Game 4, then just put Game 5 in the boxing ring and settle it that way.
Let's go.
You're just being now you're just being immature.
Me?
Yeah, you. And what kills me is that now we have another 2 days off until Game 4. Why are we doing this?
Sound like, you know what, Brett, you sound like a guy from Nebraska who just started watching hockey 5 years ago when you moved here.
No, not the case.
Yeah, that's what you sound like.
Then I sound that way. Not the case.
But that's exactly what you sound like. You sound like a guy who just started watching the sport as if, oh, my God, did you see what just happened last night?
See, this is what I'm talking about, Vic. I've heard 15 minutes of I agree with you, and then you're saying this to me.
No, I agree with all of your notions of what it looks like. My disagreement is there is absolutely no shred of surprise, no shred of grievance from my voice.
Brett,
I would have done the same thing if I'm
Edmonton. Do I sound surprised?
Brett,
I sound surprised.
I love you. Okay.
Here's what I'm trying to. Can I say this at least?
Sure.
Can I say this?
Say one thing. Yes,
if the
please.
Avalanche were down, was it 5-1 at that time when all this stuff was popping off? 5-1 in a 1-1 series in the Stanley Cup Final, and I got everybody on the Avs, instead of trying to play hockey, they're trying to just throw knuckles at people. Okay, if that was their plan,
would love it.
I wouldn't. I think I think it would make you look like a weak hockey team. That's why I don't like it.
It would, but you're afforded that outlet. There was a movie.
I understand. Okay, but so you agree with what I'm getting at here. I think it would make you look like you are admitting defeat. Is what I'm trying to say.
What you look like.
They did admit defeat. That's exactly what happened. You're right.
In the series,
Brett,
not in the game.
What are you, a fashion model? You care what you look like? You would look in the mirror before you go out to the game? Nobody cares what you look like.
Okay, then that's where we disagree.
See, this is your problem. This is, again, being a little bit younger. There's a movie with Tom Cruise where he's Jack Reacher. I think he's Jack Reacher. He's sitting in that little restaurant bar, and that girl comes over to him, and then her brother comes over and says, I'm going to beat you up and all this stuff, and they go outside.
Mm-hmm.
And right before he takes on the knucklehead and his 4 buddies, he says, remember, you wanted this. At 7:00:53 this morning, you came to the microphone with a "you wanted this."
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You know what's interesting, Vic, as we get to our first little breaky break of the day? And being concise here, I'm going to try to be an expert communicator. Mm-hmm. The Florida Panthers are an even bigger favorite for Thursday night than they were last night.
They look like a wagon, bro.
They certainly do. And Brett, again, I'll reiterate, you said everything correctly. But that's what hockey affords you, and now we'll see how the Edmonton Oilers respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll stop.
I'll tell you, then don't watch.
Yeah. I'm simply amazed that, oh, God, somebody doesn't like the goonery in hockey. That take just came up today. Oh, my God. That's not going to be talked about.
I love you, man. I do love you.
Oh, there's no radio shows in the United States that are going to say, oh, it's such a vicious sport. I can't believe it got violent like that.
Because that's what I said. That's what I said. See, this is what drives me nuts, is that you're making my argument something different than what it was. When I tell you I love to watch the fights.
Is that how it came off? Moj, is that how it came off? Or am I being...
We all are in a complete agreement. It's just that he's not here for it and we are. That's all.
Yes, I am. I said I liked it. But if my team did that and admitted defeat 3 games into a series where you're down 3-1, I think that's ridiculous.
Well, then you're soft. I'd love it.
It's soft to think that I don't want my team to admit defeat 3 games into a series.
Florida's
that's
better.
Soft.
Yeah, Florida's better.
All right.
Edmonton,
they were better last night.
And the fact that Edmonton responded the way they did last night, Brett, tells you that the Oilers know it too.
Yeah. And that's what you do.
I mean, what you should have done.
That's what I said.
What you should have done is come in this morning and go, boys, let me explain to you how my hockey wisdom has grown leaps and bounds. The Edmonton Oilers last night just told you that they don't think that they're as good as the Florida Panthers.
I think that's weak.
They're grasping.
Weak.
It is. They're grasping at straws.
It's the truth.
They're squirting water. They're punching guys' heads for no reason. But it's the truth.
So that's what you do.
They blessed you with knowledge you did not possess beforehand.
Hockey's the only sport where they allow you to do that, and there aren't massive suspensions and all that business just automatically. It's beautiful. It's the beauty of hockey. I love it.
Did I give you that hat?
Yes.
Still love you.
It says happy dad. I'm an angry dad right now.
Hey, the line starts behind me, Jack.
This aggression will not stand, man.
All right.
It's like this show. When this show goes off the rails, we're no longer we start throwing blows. It gets ugly.
It is true. Hey, speaking of hockey, anyway, we got Brock Nelson coming on the show at 9 o'clock this morning. So just fresh off that 3-year contract extension.
Ask him.
Sure.
Ask him. Seriously, I want you to ask him the same question. Say, were you offended last night?
I didn't say offended. See, shut up. I didn't say that. Don't say the things that I didn't say.
Moj, how should he ask the question? Moj, how should he ask the question? He doesn't like the way I just posed it. How should he ask it then? In his tone.
Did it look weak from Edmonton to do what they did last night?
Do you think Brock Nelson's going to use the word weak in describing what Edmonton did?
Well, I don't know if he would. I don't know if he'd say that about another team. I honestly don't know if he'd say that. That's part of it. But he will join us at 9 o'clock this morning. Stick around.
You're talking to my guy all wrong. It's the wrong tone. Do it again, I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron.
Okay, Moser has said that John Mitchell wants to weigh in on this, so we'll get to him in just a couple of minutes when he calls in.
Good to hear.
In the meantime, I don't know how many of you have been overly pursued before, maybe in the dating world, where it's very obvious somebody was into you and they were laying it on thick.
Thirsties, it was pretty much a nightly affair.
Every night? Go out to Thirsties?
Drown night, Wednesday nights at Thirsties. The pursuit police were in full pursuit. Yeah.
Well, there's one of two options here. Either the deal is done already, or Bruce Brown is laying it on as thick as humanly possible. Because every time that guy throws something out there on Instagram, it is like, all right. This latest one was some screenshot of Statline that said your star's got to be locked in, but those role players that are a star in their role can really help you bring home that championship. It's a picture of him in KCP in a Nuggets uniform.
I love me some Brucey Bruce. I got a chance to talk to him when he was in town for the first-round series against LAC. Was it LAC or OKC when he was in town? One of those series. He made an appearance at Ball Arena. I was talking to him a little bit, and I said, hey, everybody's asking
acronyms.
Him, do you want to come back?
Was it the LAC or the OKC?
Do you want to come back here? Do you want to be a Nugget again?
Maybe it's the...
He's being very coy about it. Clearly, he would love to play here again, but it does him a lot of good to prop it up as leverage, even if he doesn't play here. Let me tell you something. You know where he's going to play? The place that pays him the most money and that gives him the most security. Now, if the money's close, he could decide coming to Denver.
Yeah.
But if there's a team out there that's willing to give him, let's say, the difference, 2 years, $18 million, 2 years, $20 million, or 3 years, $30 million versus the Nuggets at the MLE, he's going to take that other team. So it does him good to prop this up, just to play this leverage game, just to play it.
Like either pay me more or I'm going to go to Denver sort of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
He's shopping for a little more than that MLE. He's shopping right now. I mean, he did good for himself in those 2 years away from Denver. Clearly, that's a nice gift he got walking away. What do you mean, close to $50 million in that 2-year sabbatical?
Close to it.
Yeah.
We'll get back to this in a second. Let's head out to the Ramos Law Hotline. Car accident, you need Ramos Law, medical doctor and attorney, ramoslaw.com. John Mitchell joins the show. What's up, John?
Hey, fellas. How we doing?
Hi, Mitchie. Somebody on the text line just called Brett a candy ass. Are you ready to align yourself with Brett Kane?
Yeah, I'm going to try to here, yes.
Mm-hmm. We're all in agreement, John. I'm just telling you right now, the ridiculous nature of the Edmonton Oilers last night, only because they're getting absolutely waffle stomped by Florida, it said a lot about where their heads are right now.
And just to reiterate, John, I have no problem with what happened. I actually enjoyed watching the fights. I think for a team to look like they're throwing in the towel 3 games into a 2-1 series is a little silly.
Okay, so you're saying they're throwing in the towel. They may have thrown in the towel for Game 3, but by no means have the Edmonton Oilers thrown in the towel and conceded this series to win the Stanley Cup to the Florida Panthers. Anytime a game gets completely out of hand, kind of like that, it's a 5-1, it's a 6-1, at that point, your chances of actually coming back and winning that hockey game are slim to none, basically. So at that point, it's like, all right, let's send a message. Let's try to maybe hurt some guys. Let's get in guys' faces because they've done that to you the whole time. And don't think for a second, I can't remember if it was Vic or Moser said, hey, if the flipped was script, if it was flipped, the script, and it was the other way around, you best believe that the Florida Panthers would look exactly like the Edmonton Oilers looked last night. And then
even more so. More so,
yeah,
Johnny, because they're used to doing it.
You would be saying that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be saying the same thing. You wouldn't be going, well, I can't believe the Florida Panthers are just giving up and giving the series to the Edmonton Oilers. It's one game. And every game in the playoffs period, and then I would assume, especially in the Stanley Cup, I never had the opportunity to play in a Stanley Cup final, but I would assume you have to take every game one game at a time. And you've heard the old cliche, hey, it's one shift at a time. It's one period at a time. Well, in the Stanley Cup final, that's even magnified even more. So you're going to see a completely different Edmonton Oilers team come Game 4, and it's not going to look anything like they did in Game 3. I promise you that.
Well, they'd better. Otherwise this thing's going to be over. John, but listen, you had a long and beautiful career in the National Hockey League. You've played in Madison Square Garden. Obviously, here in beautiful Colorado. There were times when you knew that they were in your head and you knew it, and you've been in their head and you know that as well. Tell us about how that goes down in like a Game 3 like we saw last night, because clearly the frustration for the Oilers just getting kicked absolutely boiled over.
100%. And when I played here in Colorado, I had the pleasure of playing with a cat by the name of Cody McLeod 5'5". So you best believe that when a game was going a certain way, when we were up, he wouldn't do anything. He'd be pretty quiet, pretty calm. But as soon as we were down and games were getting out of hand, he would look over at me, and I could see it in his eyes, and I'd be like, all right, we're doing this.
Yep.
And he would tell me to, like, especially on face-offs, he'd be like, tie your centerman up. Don't even win the face-off and let the puck stay in his feet. And so I just try and tie him up. And sure enough, Cody would come in there and just run the centerman over. And he wouldn't even touch the puck. And
Johnny,
then you knew a melee was about to go down right after that.
Johnny, let me step in. I think what's happening here is our young protege, Brett Kane, does not appreciate or understand the old hockey culture, which has shown its face in this Stanley Cup final. You just don't like you don't like the culture of the sport.
It's not even that I don't like it. Again, I'm
you
going
hate the game.
I'm going to re-emphasize.
Admit it.
Shut
No,
up.
I mean, listen, you're
gonna
the one who started the show
something.
with this, so you obviously don't like something about it.
I'm going to re-emphasize something. I noticed the same thing, Moser. I mentioned this after the Carolina game, Game 5 with Florida, and you didn't seem to have a problem with it then. When Carolina came out of the gates and started hooking with people and really tried to get – it was an admission that we aren't as good.
It's not their game. It's not. If you get a team to not play their game, to play your game, that's half the battle.
That's what I'm getting at. And, Johnny, that's all I'm saying is that in a tight series between two really good and talented teams, it just felt that way to me. That's all I'm saying. It's not that I didn't like it or don't appreciate it. It just feels like an admission.
Right, and again, you don't want to ever have an admission of defeat in obviously any series and then any game. I do understand that, and it seemed a little bit uncharacteristic of the Edmonton Oilers, and I think their emotions got the best of them. They got into penalty trouble in the first period. I think they had a too many men on the ice penalty as well. So I just don't think that the Edmonton Oilers' head was in the right place, which is completely incredibly insane considering the magnitude of each and every game right now. I mean, there's a max of, now 4 games left, period, right? But before that game last night, there's a max of 5 games left. You would think that team would be absolutely dialed into what they need to do to try and be successful. And they got into kind of stupid penalties early in the game, right? And when you do that, it kind of snowballs in the sense that things aren't going our way, things aren't going right. The Florida Panthers scored that goal really early in the game. Stuart Skinner, who knows what he was trying to do? Like, it looked like he slipped on a banana and fell over in the crease. Like, that's just horrible. And it's crazy that'll slip into your mind as a group and as an individual player, even, where it's like, oh boy, it could be one of those nights, right? Where that's like the last thing you want to be thinking about, but that can happen. And that sure as heck looked like that's what happened to the Edmonton Oilers last night.
Johnny, thank you for your time. Real quick, 2 things. Number one, as an Oakville, Ontario native, as an old school hockey guy, how crazy and good was it to see a line brawl in the Stanley Cup final?
I mean, it's amazing. It was awesome. I can't remember who it was on the TV.
Boom.
Somebody on the TV had mentioned, like, before the series even started, like, we might see some fisticuffs. We might see some fighting. And I kind of thought about it for a second. I'm like, really, in the Stanley Cup final? But I'm like, there's a lot of bad blood. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of those emotions stemming even all the way from last year's Stanley Cup final that have come back into this final here. So I guess I was not surprised to see, a line brawl and fisticuffs and all these kind of things that happen because, Florida plays that game. They like that game. And I think Edmonton, knowing that the game was out of hand, said, we're not going to back down from you guys. We're going to step up and we're going to be even more the aggressor.
If Brett Kane were doing a radio show back in the 90s, he would have demanded Claude Lemieux get suspended for life after what he did. But
I'm not responding to you.
Hey, Johnny, last thing for you. Being the geography nut that I am, we'll explain to Brett, because he doesn't know geography, that Oakville, Ontario is just around the lake from Niagara Falls. Okay? John, have you ever considered going over the falls in a barrel?
No, Moj.
May I suggest it for you?
You're going to suggest that I get in a barrel and tumble over the Niagara Falls?
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. I mean, the game's over. Life's over. You're down 5-1. Just do it.
Yeah. The series, though, we're down 5-1. We're conceding. The series is over. Screw it.
Johnny, you're the best, man. Thanks for chiming in, buddy. Great to have you on board. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, fellas.
Later, Johnny. John Mitchell joining us on the Ramos Law Hotline.
Hey, you guys got to listen. I said I wanted to ask Johnny a little bit about Gabe Landeskog.
I missed that yesterday. I'm so pissed. I missed it.
So Landeskog over the weekend talked about the finale of his show. What's the name of the show again?
Clean Sheet.
Yeah, Clean Sheet. And he was over at the DNVR Sports Bar, and they had a wonderful interview where they asked about the production itself. They asked about Landy, and he had some great stuff to say about what it was like just at home going through this whole thing. So I wanted to ask Mitchie, let me ask you, Moj, is Landy back? Is this because he says he's working out, he's back in the gym, he's skating? I mean, is this even a topic anymore? Are we ever going to talk about, is he going to be able to hold off the injury? Is he back?
As far as I'm concerned, Vic, there should be no more discussion about his knee.
Yeah.
None. He's looking, talking, acting, behaving like a hockey player. Like a guy whose career has resumed.
Great.
You know what else is back?
And I'll tell you what, I'll make you this promise as well.
Yeah.
Until I hear anything different. Anything different. That is what I'm going to believe, and there's no need for further discussion.
Coming up a little later, let you hear some part of that interview that Landy did. Pretty funny anecdote about what his son would tell him and make him do during his rehab process. We'll play that a little bit later. But, Brett, I'd love to get a time machine. Hey, Moj, would you love to have a time machine and have Brett here for the Avs-Red Wings games over the course of 3 years?
You're going to keep on harping on this.
What would he think during those games?
I'm begging you as a co-host, stop this. Because it's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, in his defense, I think he would have loved it.
I would have.
You would have loved it.
That wasn't the situation of yesterday. That wasn't a rivalry years in the making with hatred. That was a team that, okay, whether you believe it was for the night or the series, I think it was an admission of the series. But whatever, it doesn't matter. We can move on.
How old were you when you were potty trained, do you think? Because when that started, you're still romping around in Huggies, man. You were romping around in Huggies, sticking forks into light sockets. You had no idea what you were doing.
Hey, by the way, you know what else is back? It's not just Landeskog. Watch this, Vic. You ready? See this?
Oh, this is awesome.
Oh, you got your
barely a sound.
I got his mic fixed.
Barely a sound. Yep. Look at this. Look what I can do with my microphone now. Look at that.
So good. Well, don't break it like Kreckman did.
Well, you know what?
Stop playing with
somebody. I can touch this, okay? It's mine. I can touch it. It's mine. All right. 303-504. Yeah, I got it, Moj. You know who else? You know who really did that? I'm not kidding, Moj. Do you know who did that yesterday? That we'll talk about in a couple minutes? Boogie Cousins did to a crowd in Puerto Rico and tried to fight them all.
I also heard your discussion about Bo Nix on the way in.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts on that as well because Coach and Raj, I guess everything's on the table.
A lot to get to today, including Brock Nelson at 9 o'clock. Stick around. You know, it's not just the Stanley Cup Final. It's not just the NBA Finals, which obviously the Circus Sportsbook has. It's in the middle of baseball season, and the U.S. Open is this week. Why not throw some cash down on somebody that you feel like is going to win this weekend in the toughest conditions on the PGA Tour? The overwhelming favorite on Circa is Scotty Scheffler. He's at plus 290. In second is Bryson DeChambeau at plus 730. And then you have a host of others all behind him. Whether you think maybe Joaquin Neiman, top 10 player in the country or in the world, plus 2,800. Tommy Fleetwood, plus 3,200. All names available on the Circus Sportsbook, so check it out for this week's U.S. Open. Download the app right now or go to circusports.com. And always remember, any gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, can I give you guys three options of something we can do here? We can continue the discussion on Bruce Brown and what that would do for the Nuggets offseason. We can talk about what Coach and Raj did yesterday, which is a long shot odd for Bo Nix to be an MVP. Or we can, there's something to it that I think is interesting. And then we can talk about Boogie Cousins fighting all of Puerto Rico's fan base. So it's up to you.
I thought the last one you mentioned there was hilarious because it goes to show you, as you watch an NBA game or any American sport and you think, oh, wow, that was very uncivil and unruly. Let me tell you something, people. I don't think American fans, know the definition of uncivil and unruly until you've gone to foreign parts of the world to watch sporting events.
Well,
you're saying that Boogie Cousins himself declared war on Puerto Rico.
Well, the people inside that arena that night, yes.
So just to recap, Boogie Cousins is playing in the Puerto Rican League. He got into it with a group of fans, actually 2 fans that were sitting in the front row. He walked nearby them. He touched them, saying something. You couldn't tell what he was saying. The fans started throwing double birds at him. Those 2 fans, those 2 men, right in his face.
Here we go.
Yeah, they stood up in his face, were throwing double birds. Boogie didn't like that. So Boogie started grabbing the men as if to fight.
Okay.
Then the men all sort of jumped in. His teammates pulled him off. He got thrown out of the game. As he's walking off the court in Puerto Rico, he is now being assaulted by popcorn, soda, water. They're throwing everything on him as he's making his way to the tunnel. Boogie's not done yet.
Cerveza?
Cerveza, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Boogie's not done yet. He wants to go after those fans that are tossing all of those concessions on his head. So he wants to get up in the crowd.
I try to catch a couple nachos.
So
security's holding him back the entire time.
So go ahead, Nelly. You can play this. So hang on. No, actually, stop for a second. Go back to the initial one, the second one that I sent you, because this is what started everything, was on the court.
Yeah.
So he's over near the sideline.
Yep.
And somebody says something to him.
Oh, he's like
he talks back. Now he grabs his
sobbing.
manhood, and then he reaches his arm out, but he gets grabbed by the fan.
Yeah.
And then he starts cocking an arm back like he's going to punch him. Yeah. Now pushing away his teammates to try and get after these guys. These guys actually jump onto the floor. The fans.
Those are brave dudes. Yeah. He would have killed them.
Yeah. So that all kind of gets separated, and he gets ejected for that because you can't be touching people in the crowd, even though people in the crowd were also at fault.
Must have been a road game.
Yes. So go back, and here's him walking towards the tunnel. So as he's walking in, here comes a flood of cervezas and
condiments.
Middle fingers.
Where's
and
the ketchups?
Yep, ketchups. And now after doing that, he is jumped, and literally he's fighting people holding him back to try and get to the crowd.
It turned into an absolute worldwide wrestling. It was mayhem last night in Puerto Rico. I think Danilo Gallinari is part of that team.
Oh, is he?
I think so. I think Gallo is in that league.
Really?
You might want to look that up. But it's just craziness. Craziness is, look at him. He wants to go after. And I guess what it defines for me is when we think we get crazy at games here, like I went to OKC, that OKC crowd is loud, it's crazy. The Nuggets crowd is loud, it's crazy. Ain't nothing crazy like you see in international games. I remember a quote once by Nikola Jokic when somebody asked him about the opposing crowd, like, oh, how tough is that, Nikola? They were really giving it to you tonight. And he said, I played in Serbia, brother. And he laughed. He laughed.
Well, they got the fireworks going off and smoke bombs and yeah,
chants, and it's absolutely nuts. So what we do in the States is civil and tame compared to the rest of the world. Not even close. You ever been to a lower level soccer match in Europe? Lower level, not even like Serie A or Premier League. I'm talking 3 notches down. Dude, you want to be afraid of your own life? Go to one of those things and tell me how you feel. It's craziness.
Here's the thing, though.
Vic, you were right, by the way. Gallo does play in that Puerto Rican league. He plays for Vaqueros de Bayamón.
Well, that was the home team right there. That's exactly where the game was played. It was played at Vaqueros.
Tell you, there always needs to be, I think, a reminder. I go, maybe once a year in sports, I think we should allow an athlete to punch a fan. Hear me out. Hear me out. You guys think I'm anti-fighting.
No,
listen to this take.
There are many times when I feel fans have deserved to have their lunch handed to them.
That fan with Boogie, who was sitting courtside, who, when he grabbed the arm of Boogie Cousins, should be punched. And it should just serve as a reminder, you're messing with somebody who's 7 feet tall and 300 pounds and an athlete. You don't have this invisible barrier between you and him when you start to go out and touch people, okay? Mm-hmm. So if that's what you want, then we can do the Malice in the Palace thing, and we can have Ron Artest and who's the other one? Steven Jackson, right? With fists the size of Elmwood trees taking out entire rows of people. Just to serve as a reminder to not mess with these guys.
You realize your co-host once worked with a gentleman who took a fan's shoe and banged him over the head with it.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was not him.
Oh, it was not Pete.
It's over, pal.
That wasn't the late great Peter McNabb.
But he did go in the crowd.
McNabb's the one who had him pinned down in the seats.
Yeah. Now, reminder to everybody about the great Peter McNabb.
It was Mike Milbury who then took the guy's own shoe off his foot and beat him with it.
Keep in mind, everyone.
By the way, both those. Yeah, go ahead.
Peter McNabb.
It was a father-son team that got the business handed to him. Yeah.
Peter McNabb is the nicest man I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
The nicest human being I've ever met.
Well, when you're with a gentleman for I don't know how many years, 17 years. It's 2 a.m. somewhere over Winnipeg in a snowstorm, and you're the only people awake on the airplane. You tend to talk about things. Pete hardly talked about what went on at Madison Square Garden to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think after all these years, he's kind of just played out. He's embarrassed by that kind of thing. But he told me everything.
Yeah, you know what? Over the last few years, this is totally right. Matt Ishbia and Jeff Van Gundy both deserved a punch right in the kisser. Right in the kisser from Jokic. Give him the basketball. Get out of here.
It started out because somebody took was it Stan Jonathan's stick or Terry O'Reilly's? Now I'm forgetting. Because the glass at Madison Square Garden was much lower than current glass is. Mm-hmm. They reached over because the Bruins and the Rangers had gotten into a bit of a scuffle following the game. And he took a stick and he hit the Bruin, I think it was Stan Jonathan, hit him in the head with his own stick.
All right, so
and that's what started the whole thing.
That's a physical altercation, and those fans rightfully got theirs. But let me ask you about the incident last night with Boogie, because what led to it is Boogie didn't like what the fans were saying, so he started grabbing his colognes at the fans and went right up to them. The fans stood up and played the sob thing. But at no point did those fans touch Boogie. They didn't touch him. They were just motioning toward Boogie. They stood up, motioned toward him. He touched them, and then things got out of whack. So where do you draw the line? If you're sitting courtside, or if you're sitting rinkside, what are you allowed to do with that aquarium that you're watching the game through? In my humble opinion, I don't know, man. You have to be pretty bold as a fan to pull what those guys did last night. I'm like, dude, calm down.
Well,
watch the game.
Vic, they did the sob sign, and then when Boogie got really close, like this close, their hands turned this way, and they brought up 2 fingers in front of him. And I think that's what made him. He just swatted the hand out of the way, and then he
reached.
Else.
The guy was still sitting, and he reached and grabbed his arm
because the guy was double barreling. Now, not to say that gives him the right to touch him either, but
so I've been to many NBA games, obviously, where players don't like what a fan says, not even what he does, what he says.
Oh, we've seen it right here in Denver with Russell Westbrook.
And I have seen players walk up to security and say, "I want that person out, and that person." And guess what? There are no questions asked. There's no court of public opinion. There's no, well, let's go ahead and try this case. No, those people are kicked out automatically. If a player requests a player out, fans are out automatically.
I'll tell you this right now. If I'm spending the money to have a courtside seat, I don't think I'm playing that game. I don't think I'm playing with, and I understand a lot of people sit courtside, have a ton of money, where if they get kicked out, they're fine, whatever. If I ever got that opportunity, I'm not going to waste it by name-calling people that are 2 feet in front of me that, again, could very obviously kick my butt, right? Very obviously. Now, I always say this, there's a difference between heckling somebody and then we all know there's a line that you can cross when you're doing that. Heckling, I think, is generally okay. You pepper somebody, that's fine. But there's a line. Yeah, and I think throwing double barrels in the face of somebody is probably a line.
And those lines cannot be, again, they can't be tried during the game. I mean, Chris Paul, I'll never forget this. This was a Nuggets Suns game. Chris Paul didn't like what a fan said about him. And I'm standing right next to the fan when it was said. And I was like, man, that didn't seem that bad. That didn't seem, I mean, what did he say? Well, upon further review, I'm talking to the dude sitting next to the fan. And he said, yeah, they have a history. He has said some things to Chris in the past and said it one more time, blah, blah, blah. So you get that built up, right? They start to recognize certain fans that are there all the time. And it gets pretty ugly. At the same, listen, I see both sides of this. If you're a fan at the game, let the guys play. Let them play. You're there to watch them.
So Rob Ray, who you should be very familiar with now, Nelly, because he got hit in the head with a puck this year. There was a time when a fan jumped on the ice and Rob Ray pulled him into the Buffalo bench and rained hellfire down upon his skull.
I remember that.
I'll show you the video.
Yeah.
And here's my point. Hey, man, if you fall into a penalty box or you fall into a bench or, God forbid, you jump on the ice and run at the opposing team's bench and they pull you into the black hole, you deserve everything you get.
Hey, who was the player?
Everything.
Who's the player that wanted Rocky kicked out of a game?
Charles Barkley.
No, wasn't there some guy Devin Booker recently or something?
They were always playing. Barkley and Rocky played for decades.
No, but there was some guy that was shooting free throws that wanted him kicked out.
Oh, no, they wanted Rocky removed from by the net, right?
You're thinking about Toronto when Devin Booker wanted the Toronto mascot kicked out.
Oh, I thought that was in Denver. Okay,
yeah, that was in Toronto. But Westbrook and Rocky had a rivalry going for a long time.
Yeah. The Rocky Barkley rivalry thing was all just
that was in jest.
A lot of it until God, he knocked him off his tall stilts. That was friggin' dangerous.
I still remember, just quickly, my favorite story that came out of the Malice in the Palace. Somebody tried to correct me, saying that's Meta World Peace. Now, at the time, it was Ron Artest. That they were in the locker room, and Steven Jackson told the story that it was dead silent in there. Because remember, they just ended the game, right? They're like, all right, we can't have this. And Artest, with his jersey ripped, all this different stuff, looks up at Steven Jackson. He goes, "Yo, Steve, are we going to get in trouble?" And he's like, "Yes, we're getting in trouble." What do you mean? You can jump into a crowd and punch fans and not get in trouble? Anyway, all right. 303-504-0925. Back after this.
Vic Lombardi here for AAA Service Plumbing, Heating, and Electric. $49 right now. They'll tune up your AC. $79, throw in a water heater flush. $99, and you get the AC tune-up, the flush, and an electrical safety inspection. AAA Service, big on the west side where I live. Moving up north, got a chance to play golf with George from AAA Service. Nice little draw to his driver game, but inside 100 yards. Need some work. Need to call AAA Service on that inside 100 yards, Jordan. Call your own people. Make it work, would you? Call them today. Schedule an appointment if you can. AAAtoday.com. That's AAAtoday.com.
All right, so Vic, I showed Brett during the break.
That's pretty crazy.
So I'd forgotten all the specific details. The Sabres are in Quebec City. And a player upends Sabres goalie Clint Malarchuk. And then we get a kind of a Donnybrook going on the ice. Then a fan, Vic, jumps over the high glass, runs toward the Sabres bench. For God knows what reason. I can't imagine that he had anything but 87 Molsons in him.
Yeah.
And Rob Ray starts raining right on Brett.
We counted at least 15.
Like a jackhammer.
Yeah.
But not only that, Vic, it was such a commotion that all the players on the ice stopped fighting and were staring at the bench. They're grabbing each other like this, and they're like, as Rob Ray is beating the ever-living crap out of this guy. Anyway, it was...
You ever seen
pretty impressive?
Do you remember in Space Jam, if you can think that far back? I know you don't watch cartoons, Vic, but MJ was in it. You had to at least see it once, didn't you?
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. Moj?
I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Neither of you guys have watched Space Jam?
Is that bad? I mean, I've seen clips of it. I've seen, versus the monsters and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it was one thing. It's a cartoon. It's Michael Jordan.
I wasn't 4 years
old. We were already
adults.
living our lives when that came out, man.
My God.
I mean, soundtrack alone. Okay, hang on. Quick straw poll.
Straw poll. Oh, yeah.
Only for the people, I'll say, 45 and older. Have you seen Space Jam, yes or no? I thought that would have been at least one cartoon that Vic has seen.
Is this all music from the show?
All of it's just from that soundtrack.
You know what's funny? This soundtrack, I have this soundtrack. It
was a great soundtrack.
Great soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack I have, the cartoon I've never seen.
Basketball Jones was one of my favorite ones on there. Whew. Great album.
One final thing before we get to Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Brock Nelson coming up in less than an hour on the program. He's flying in actually today. He's flying into town this morning and going to jump on as soon as he lands. So hopefully it's like right at 9 o'clock. We anticipate that. But you're talking to a guy here, and I have absolutely no problem repeating this, and this is my policy. If you're asking me what my foreign policy is on sports fans, this is it. I'm in favor, and you haven't seen it for a little while, but when when fans jump on the field in baseball games, right?
Yeah.
Remember the time that didn't Don Zimmer get beat up? Who got beat up? The first base coach.
Do you remember the father-son combo of the Chicago White Sox game?
Yeah, they beat up who?
Whoever the first base coach was at that White Sox game. That was sad.
I am in absolute favor of trained Doberman pinchers and Rottweilers and the occasional German Shepherd to sit in the camera pit. And if a fan runs on the field, you unleash the dog on
You want my girl Layla to go get him?
She's a good girl. She's
would, too.
You know what that's like, Mose? That's like your little fly guns that you gave us. And by the way, I had my first kill yesterday with your salt gun. My first kills, I should say, because I couldn't stop.
Your first one, you were trying to one-hand it while holding the camera. It
wasn't working.
You looked a little bit like a noob on Call of Duty, if you will.
I looked like a new hunter. Yeah, I did. But then I got
once you got the hang of it, though, then what happened?
I got a bit addicted and started shooting all live animals with salt gun.
Okay, good. Anyway, so that's my policy. You don't run onto the field, man. Every time a guy runs onto the field in a football game and gets trucked, I'm in favor of it. So that's my policy, and I won't change.
So I heard Coach and Raj talking about this yesterday. Now, is this like pie in the sky sort of stuff? Sure. But I looked it up just for bleeps and giggles. Bo Nix in his odds to win MVP next year, he's plus 7,500. That puts him in the same category as J.J. McCarthy, as Michael Penix.
As for the guys who've McCarthy's never played it down in the NFL.
Michael Penix has never played it down. Yeah. Well, he played last couple of weeks. But that sort of territory, okay? So the guys right ahead of him are guys like Sam Darnold. They have Drake May at like plus 6,000 for some reason, which I don't get. But the point is this. If the Broncos are division winners next year, which I think is possible, don't you guys? We all agree that it's possible to win the AFC West next year.
It's possible.
Vic, possible to win the AFC West?
Yes.
Possible, not probable.
It would put him in some
likely, not anything.
It would put him in some sort of discussion, wouldn't it? If you uncrown the Chiefs, or by the way, this is wild to say. I saw this yesterday and I was like, God, really? The Chiefs, who are going for their 10th straight division title next year, by the way, 10 in a row. If you unseat them, Bo Nix is going to have a pretty good year.
It's not going to happen. You have to get on the radar before you're actually the MVP. I mean, like Jaden Daniels. How was Jaden Daniels this last season?
He was
pretty good, right?
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, where was he in the MVP running? I'm just curious. What, 4th, 5th? Where was he?
Yeah, he was up there. I don't know where the finish was.
So if I told you Bo Nix had Jaden Daniels type of season, that'd be pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm. It'd be amazing. Yeah.
And that wasn't good enough to win the MVP, because I think the MVP award, like any award in sports, you have to have a name first, name recognition, then you get to that honor. Then you get there. And I'm not saying Bo doesn't have name recognition, but he's not on that level yet.
I agree with everything you just said. Now, I would turn this another way. Forget the MVP part. It's just about playing well. And you know what I realized with Bo Nix, which is really interesting looking back at it? Did you know the most passing attempts he had in a single game throughout the regular season last year? You know what week that was?
The most passing attempts. I remember it was early because we said
42. 42 attempts in a single game.
Because I remember we criticized the play calling, and we said, how many times are you going to throw the damn ball? I can't remember the game.
Week 1 against Seattle.
Really?
In Seattle. Week 1. So we had 42 attempts. The other time he had that was on November 24th against Vegas. He had 42 in that one as well. But the pure volume, and whenever you talk about a year 2 wall, what's the argument? The argument is, well, they have more tape on him now, so they can prepare better. And I was kind of looking through his games. They have tape on him when they get to week 15, 16, 17, 18, right? He had some of his best games around those times when there was, quote, tape on him and his tendencies.
He did.
Like, he had, in the last 8 games of the regular season, 7 multi-touchdown games, throwing the ball. 7.
Hey, if this is a conversation starter for Bo Nix, whatever it may be, this means he's going to have a great season. And it means that the Broncos are going to have great success, right? So the fact that this is even in the conversation is a good thing. It's mini camp. It's
Understood.
Mini camp.
Let me get on this a little bit, please.
Can I say one more thing real quick in regards to it?
Yes,
and
please.
something that Bo Nix has that I think is such an asset and almost necessary now, it feels like. The really good quarterbacks in the league, most of them anyway, are guys who can do a little bit of both. Josh Allen can run the ball. Lamar can run the ball. Bo Nix can run the football. If he's got open space, he can take off. In fact, the Broncos last year, as far as big plays on the ground, they categorized that as runs of 20 yards or more. They had 10 total. How many did Bo Nix have?
6.
6. Yeah. He had 6 of the 10. 1 for Javonte, 1 for Jaleel, 1 for Estime, and 1 for Tyler Beatty.
That was the problem with the running back core, is there's no breakaway plays.
Right.
Just couldn't break one.
What were you going to say, Moj?
This talk, I think in the 6 o'clock hour, you were sort of alluding to because to me, when you're talking about MVP odds, you're talking about superstars.
Yeah.
Bo Nix is not a superstar, at least not yet. And I'm very reluctant to talk about him in that sort of language when he's still got a lot to do.
Sure.
We sit here and we talk on these airwaves, and fans, they want to believe so badly. I mean, they just want to believe. I don't know that there's any position in sports where a guy has that much hope from a fan base and they give him the benefit of the doubt to no end. Now, that being said, do you consider Bo Nix a superstar type of player?
Now? No.
Can he be? Because when you think of superstar, think of Mahomes, think of Lamar, think of Allen. Those are your comps. And if you're thinking Bo Nix can be one of those, then God bless you. I hope to God that he can.
Do you believe?
I've been trained in my lifetime to err on the side of caution. And I'm going to give you a little bit more about that. Did he get better? Did he get better as the year went on? Absolutely he did. But this may floor you, and I think a lot of the early season, Vic, had a lot to do with this number. Because it certainly got better as the year went on. You talked about his final weeks of the regular season. You know, he got away with some stuff, too. There was a game he threw 3 picks in and a game he threw 2 picks in, and they won those games.
Back-to-back weeks.
Correct. Then they lost
Cleveland
to
and Indy.
Yeah, then they lost to the Chargers. Remember that game?
Mm-hmm.
Bo Nix led the National Football League in what category last year?
What category did Bo Nix lead the NFL in?
Led the NFL of qualified quarterbacks.
He led in.
You're probably not. Outs? You're not gonna. You're getting close. You're not gonna like it because these are the quarterbacks that rank behind him with really not enough qualification.
Third down deficiency.
It's called failed completions. Here's the only players that qualified that were worse than him. Deshaun Watson, who hardly played, Will Levis, who was awful, and Spencer Rattler.
What does that mean? What is failed completion?
Here's what a failed completion is, and I want you fans to listen closely to this.
Let me listen closely. Hold on a second.
A failed completion is any completed pass that fails to gain 45% of needed yards on first down, 60% on second down, or 100% on third or fourth down.
Stop it.
What? No, what I'm saying,
No. Just take that out of your mouth right now. All that you just said, take it, put it back in your mouth.
Why?
That's stupid.
No, what it's telling you is if you're a check down Charlie and you've got 3rd and 11 and you throw the ball for 2 yards and it gets smothered, that's a completed pass. It's better than an incompletion, obviously better than an interception, but it doesn't mean jack squat. Yeah. It doesn't mean a damn. Oh, hold on a second, Vic. So what I'm telling you is that the numbers don't lie. The numbers are there. And he was accused many times over the course of the year. Hey, man, you're checking down a lot. In fact, in the early part of the season, we got on him because he wouldn't go over the top. Actually, I said either he couldn't or he wouldn't, and that was a problem. Then he started to as the year go on. Yeah. But it's easy to say, watch this. Hey, what's that one big pass he had over the top? Who was it to?
Mims.
It's easy to pinpoint like the one big play he had.
There were one or two, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple at the end of the year.
I know you think that I'm being unfair. Bryce Young, Mac Jones had a better percentage than he did. Mac Jones. Guess who was the best in the league at failed completions? He had the best percentage. You ready for this? Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford.
Well, those guys you just mentioned throw the ball downfield. Yeah, they throw the ball downfield.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that if you truly want to be...
But this was his rookie season. In his
rookie
season.
I completely agree.
A lot of games, though. Like, a lot.
As do I. I think his cerebral nature is going to help him, and his legs are going to help him an awful lot. And don't get me wrong, I really like the kid. Yeah. In fact, he's better at this point, right this second, than I thought he would be when he was drafted. But he's still...
Between mandatory minicamp and OTAs is exactly that. One is mandatory, the other is not. Otherwise, it's the same drills, it's the same plays, it's the same stuff. It's a bunch of dudes, us in the media, watching these guys run around, and I'll be totally frank with you. You're not seeing anything crazy. The only thing that is of news is who won't be there for whatever reason. Will JFM be there? John Franklin Marshall, will he be there?
Myers.
Well, I knew I was going to mess that up. Will he be there?
John Franklin Marshall sounds like an old Civil War vet.
Yeah, that sounds better. In fact, I'd consider changing. Will he be there? Well, will any other player who is considering, because there are mini camp holdouts already across the NFL. They're taking place. Hendrickson in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Am I told Terry McLaurin didn't show up in Washington?
That is correct.
Okay.
You know what kills me about Terry McLaurin? And by the way, do we like that little wideout? We think he's a stud, right?
He's a stud. He makes all the big catches.
2 years ago, he signed a 3-year, $60-something million contract, and now he's holding out again? I mean, come on, man.
Well, that's what minicamp is. Mandatory minicamp, in terms of what they do, it's no different than what they did last week. Nothing. It's the same thing. It's just about who's there.
Yep. Pretty much.
Come on, man.
So if you're thinking you're going to go out to minicamp today and, oh, my God, wait till we see this, you're going to see the same stuff we saw last week.
By the way, there's something else NFL-wise that I want to get to in a little bit that I was surprised to see this number, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Reminder to you, though, this is U.S. Open week, and if you head to altitudesportsradio.com/pick'em, you can enter the Altitude Sports Radio U.S. Golf Pick'em. You pick 4 golfers, and you pick one from each of 4 different groups, and you're entered. The entry with the golfers with the most total prize money is our winner. The prize package is perfect for every golf fan. It's a foursome of golf to the Ridge of Castle Pines. It's 4 tickets to the U.S. Senior Open at the Broadmoor and a Surfside prize package that includes a new Arctic cooler. Thanks to Surfside Lemonade and Vodka, only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, and 0 bubbles. Look for the can with sunset stripes at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Enter now at altitudesportsradio.com/pick'em for your chance to win. Back after this. All right, Brock Nelson is going to join us at around 9, could be a little earlier, around 8:50. So tune in at least then. See what the, not newest Av, but newly extended Av has to say at around 8:50 this morning. I saw these videos, and I'm going to ask a question out of ignorance. I'm going to wince when I ask it, okay? So...
Hey, wait. First of all, you should never feel afraid to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable on this show. Because if there's one thing you know about us, we're not judgmental. We embrace honest questions. If you don't know something, just say it. We'll treat you sensitively and delicately. Go ahead.
So the U.S. Open is at Oakmont. Why do they have 8,000 people pushing mowers by hand around the entire course as opposed to...
Are you a freaking moron?
You know what? God,
the hell's wrong with you?
How do you have the brain power to power your legs to walk?
How do your parents actually... Shameful.
Brett, you can't put a riding mower on a 45-degree slope, bro.
Did you see the church pew bunker? How are you going to put a riding mower on that?
For God's sake.
Are you stupid?
Do you even understand physics?
But does that mean the whole course has to be done that way?
They don't. Dude, listen. First of all.
Does that mean the whole thing?
Yeah, I'm sure they have 8,000 dudes pushing mowers every week at Oakmont. No.
How long have you been stupid?
See,
they're what they're doing now is they're absolutely grooming the course perfectly for the greatest test in golf.
Yes. Yeah, okay? I got that part.
So that's what's going on. Not Coach Bednar and his John Deere cruising around plowing the back 40.
You know, from now on, we need to take basic sports acumen tests to get jobs here because this is ridiculous. Anyway, that's a good question, Brett. I'm glad you asked.
It's a guy so there's a video the guy had basically like when I go to the barber and he tries to fade or blend my hair up, he's doing that to the fringes. And I go, is this just a normal practice in golf?
Or there is a great degree of showmanship with a lot of these groundskeepers. No, there is, seriously. They're like, hey, we do it the old-fashioned way. And, you know, that's one of the oldest courses in North America, Oakmont. This is a course that was redesigned to look like the course when it was originally built. They removed all these trees. There's a lot of history there. So I'm sure that's part of the process. Now, when I played at Augusta, I can tell you, they were hand mowing everything.
I just don't know. I honestly don't know what the practice is for most courses at the Peach. When they came to the BMW, right? Did they have a whole bunch of people pushing mowers around, or was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they increased the mower capacity. They make sure. Dude, that is a golf course's way to. It's a pageant. It's a beauty pageant. That's what it is.
It's such a great way to put it, Vic. It's a beauty pageant. Every eye in the golfing world is going to be on your course.
Do those beauty
if you got to get out
trim
there
a little bit? Yes, they do before a beauty pageant.
If you want to get out there with nail clippers and clip the individual blades of grass, do it because every golf eye on the planet is going to be on Oakmont Country Club starting Thursday.
And you know what? Other golf courses will see the rough and they'll see the edge of the green and say, God, how tight is it to the green? Like, is the first layer an inch higher? Is the second layer rough? They actually, this is talked about in golf circles. This is a big deal. You show it off a little bit. First cut. What's the first cut versus the really wild rough?
Teicher says, golf course superintendent here. These two bozos don't know what they're talking about.
Well, please, golf course superintendent. Let us know, because I could tell you this. You know the new thing that's going on?
Steve, call the 574. Look, we might as well let it all hang out.
Steve, were you a super?
No. I'm telling Nelly. Call the 574. You see his number right there.
Well, don't call.
Call him.
Just ask him.
Oh, no, if he wants some, he's going to get some.
Come get a piece, super.
John Mitchell wanted somebody came right on the show. Hey, 5745. Here's the number, in fact, 5745. And don't give me this, I'm driving my kid to school. I can't call. 303-504-0925. Call us.
I'm just asking. So
you might as well give me my agronomy degree right now.
What
I know
and what you're
how to
referring
handle
to
the course.
is the staggering of the mowers around the side with the guys actually walking in the bunker with the mower almost.
No, that makes sense
because
he's pushing the middle of the mower. That makes sense for not having the rider. I get that. What I'm asking is, do they do that for the entire course? Because that would seem excessive.
What are you talking about, the entire course? They're not doing that. They're doing it around the greens. They're doing it around the places where there's heavy play.
Oh, we got him. Yeah, let's go. Bring it on.
Let's bring this sucker on. You know, these AI mowers are a big deal now. Our course has an AI mower. We got one of them at Rolling Hills where you program the mower and it just goes up and down and does those fine lines. Those are sweet.
Like the Roomba mower?
Yeah. They're all over the place. That's a big deal. You want to talk first cut with me? Let's go.
You see what you've started, Brett.
It was just a innocent question.
It wasn't an innocent question.
It was an innocent question.
Now, when I played at Augusta, everything was level until you got to the pinery there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until you got to the pine straw.
That's it.
Yeah, and then
everything's level. They have very little rough. The fairways are like most greens.
Just a lot. All I'm saying is, even at the parts that didn't have the big dips and stuff like that, there was a lot of people mowing flat ground.
I saw that,
by
but
hand.
that's also on the he bugged out. Nelly?
No, he's not bluffing. It did sound like he was in the thick of a golf course or something. There were mowers and a bunch of stuff. I have no idea what he was saying, so it's going to have to be sticking to text message. Sorry.
Yes, Brett. They're on the approaches and whatnot. They are mowing in teams, staggered mower in teams to get the cut perfect.
Let me give you an example. I'll give you an example. Even the super listening to our show right now as he's mowing whatever course he's mowing. I'm going to tell you how this works. Take a baseball field. There are few better than the crew at Coors Field, right? How they mow that field.
It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous. Why do you think they go to such extremes? Mowing, hand mowing, like when they handle the infield. Do you see how they handle the infield as if it's a piece of art?
Well, it's because if you put a ride-on mower, you'd be like, you couldn't turn without going on the dirt. But they do that in the outfield.
Okay. But the point is,
how
they
perfect
can make
does it look?
It looks perfect.
Let me tell you something.
It's about the look. It's about the look, Brett. That's what it's about.
When the All-Star game was here, dude.
Yeah, I know, but they get the look in the outfield with a mower, like a ride mower, a big mower.
Watching these guys mow a perfect star into the outfield was like one of the coolest things I've ever
by
seen.
hand. That makes sense.
Moj.
Going for design.
Well, that's the U.S. Open, bro.
Moj. Brett, you should know
We're
this.
not talking about City Park here.
Why are you yelling at me?
Brett, you should know this.
I'm just sitting here.
As a mower yourself.
Am I yelling? Do I sound like is
You
my
are
voice
yelling.
elevated? I apologize.
You're mad.
Brett.
You wanted to cold call people? Yes.
I want you to come to my home immediately after the show and take a look at the mow I put on my yard yesterday.
I got one going today.
I got a cut that might be top 10 in my lifetime cuts. I decided to go with a different angle, a different look.
It's always
Usually
fun.
I do the horizontal. I went cross court on this one. I changed it up. And let me tell you something. Took a lot more work, but it looks stunning.
This makes a lot more sense. Riding mowers cannot be set to 5 inches. The only way that they can do that is with a walk mower. That makes total sense.
That's the 5745. That's the same person.
Well, thank you, Super, for that. That's
what?
what we need to know.
What? Hold on. We're bozos, yet he just confirmed everything we were just saying.
Well,
5745. You
didn't say that. You said it's to make it look pretty, and there's a pageantry to it. That's what you were saying. He said that's not the case. It's because they can't be set to 5.
That also is the case.
But I do appreciate you putting your vulnerabilities out there.
Have you seen the amount of?
It just looked very old-fashioned. That's all. That's the reason I asked.
Yeah, they got their Toros out there. They're doing their thing, right?
Didn't even look like they had the self-propel on there. Looked like they were going straight push.
Did you see the amount of grooming between the bunker and the actual grass itself? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's
all of that is expected.
Exquisite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, did you guys, speaking of grooming, I don't know how closely you paid attention to a lot of those college baseball games last night, but Murray State advances to the College World Series. They're
Gotta love it. Gotta have a team like that. There's always one every year.
Their first ever. They upset Duke. And my favorite part of the story, watching Murray State celebrate, was awesome. I mean, it's almost brought a tear to my eye, just the pure joy. The manager for Murray State, the skipper, They play in a small, tiny little. It's not even a stadium, just a bunch of stands. I think it holds 800 people.
Yeah.
Whatever. He mows his own outfield. He mows everything at the Murray State Stadium. The manager. So stories, and that's common, by the way. That's not uncommon in college baseball. I remember doing a couple stories when I was in Austin, Texas. Smaller schools, the managers mow.
Bro.
High school coaches, the managers mow.
So he's Forrest Gump. Good for him.
See, what's the attitude here?
I think it's a great story.
What's going on here?
It's a great story.
My coach did it.
You think Deion Sanders is mowing over there at Folsom? Although it's AstroTurf now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, Vic, we had somebody that would mow our outfield, somebody that was part of that whatever groundskeeping unit. We didn't have a groundskeeper.
I cut that grass for free.
But somebody would take the big mower out there. They'd mow the outfield. Our coach hand mowed the infield. Our other coach would drag the infield. We would shovel snow off the tarp if we had to. Yeah.
I mean, it's what you do, man.
Build character.
Like high schools don't have unlimited budgets where they've got a team of agronomists out there.
You know what my college
clipping
said?
their field.
If your bat broke, they go, guess you should go buy a new one.
So
that's what they told us.
Yeah.
The reason I bring up Murray State is this. With this new college money play, where every university now is going to be given up to $20.5 million to spend on athletes, are stories and teams like Murray State, are these kind of stories going to go away?
Hang on. I don't know if they can and allowed are two different things, I think. You're allowed to spend it. I don't think every team has $20.5 million.
No, you don't have. That's the cap.
Yeah.
That's $20.5 million.
You are allowed to spend up to $20.5.
And teams like CU already Rick George, the AD at CU, said they're going to spend all the way to the cap. They're playing ball. And you would think most people that are all in are going to go to the cap.
But Murray State, they don't have $20.5 million.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to pick and choose which sports you want to be good at.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to spend your money. And that's why a lot of these smaller schools like Murray State, here's what's going to happen. They're going to have to say, well, I guess baseball's the play. All the rest of you, sorry.
Pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of schools that don't even have. Like Wichita State, they've got football and they got baseball.
They're going to have to make that choice.
They got basketball and baseball. They don't even have football.
They're going to have to make that choice. And the other thing I was thinking about is this. Now that the NCAA is pretty much, they're done, right? $20.5 million is the cap on what a school can spend. Who and how are you going to police that?
Yeah.
How are you going to properly police that?
No idea.
I don't know.
Like what system is in place to ensure that, I don't know, Georgia's got money to burn?
There is no.
Notre Dame's got money to burn.
How
do you know?
There's no auditors coming in. And by the way, that's just from the school. That's not NIL. NIL is something totally different. That's just what the school can pay their student athletes.
Hey, just quickly here, while we're on the subject of grass.
Well, and real quick, Brett, I was mowing the lawn yesterday myself, and I got to thinking to myself, and I don't know the answer to this. Does Colorado State even have $20.5 million to dole out to their athletes?
It's a great question. Have we heard from Colorado State? What are they all in on this too, or
do they even have $20.5 to spare? I don't think that they do. New Mexico, they probably put it all into basketball. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just craziness.
Jobu, I think you're right though. Jobu says bigger schools are going to have a harder time divvying up the pie. You got football, basketball. Smaller schools, what's going to happen, in my humble opinion, smaller schools are going to focus on particular sports they want to be really good at. And that's where most of their money's going to go. But all it's going to do, though, is those other schools where scholarships, partial scholarships might have been available to diving, soccer, I don't know. You may be done. You may not have those scholarships at the ready because you're going to focus on one particular sport or two.
So keep in mind, in about 10 minutes, it sounds like we're going to have Brock Nelson on the show to talk about his new contract.
He's going to be on just before 9 o'clock, like 8:57, 8:58.
Okay, gotcha. So
a little
just
early
before
9
o'clock. So we'll get to that in just a couple minutes. Stick around.
Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic can help you, guys. If you're dealing with low testosterone, it's not going to really make you sick or anything like that. It's just you're not going to be feeling like you used to. Sluggish, low energy, sleep patterns off. Maybe you're working out, not seeing the same gains, all that kind of thing. Less productivity at the gym. Well, they can help you. Just go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. They've got a low T quiz right there. If you're dealing with any of these symptoms, maybe you have low T. Take the quiz. 10 simple yes-no answers. Takes 2 minutes. Schedule a consult. They're going to draw your blood. Results within 30 minutes. You're going to be feeling better. If you need testosterone treatment, higher energy levels, sleeping better, you wake up feeling refreshed, more productive at work, no more brain fog. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic has served the Front Range for nearly a decade. Successfully treated tens of thousands of men for a variety of issues, including they got that killer peptide treatment too that's really awesome. Most men wait a year or longer when they've got low testosterone to get treatment. There's no need to wait. 5 locations in Colorado, Fort Collins down to Colorado Springs. So there's one that's going to be right by you. Call them today, 720-440-7900. Again, 720-440-7900, or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
All right, Brock Nelson coming up in about 10-ish minutes. Speaking of grass, did you guys see that Folsom Field is getting turf now and going away from natural grass? I don't know how much this matters to you. I think you asked pretty much every single football player what they prefer. They all prefer grass, but turf is the easier alternative.
Yeah, once Notre Dame did the same thing, and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? But you know what? In those cold weather climates, it's just much tougher to maintain that turf. It is. And the new turf, this new kind turf they have now, it's not like the old veteran stadium turf. Remember that? Remember that in Philly, Moj? Guys would go there and just collapse their legs.
Brett, the Astrodome.
Oh, dude, I remember the Astrodome. That's terrible.
Veteran Stadium in Philadelphia. You would have like a corner of the carpet come up by third base. Like flare up and you couldn't put it back down. You could try to glue it down. It just kept coming up. And you'd play a whole season like that and there was no padding underneath.
You're falling on concrete.
It was carpet on concrete. You're being tackled on carpet on concrete.
You get tackled once, by the way. Your entire arm has the skin shaved off the top of it. It's gotten a lot better since then.
It's no wonder those guys wore all that protection all over their arms.
Oh, yeah.
Because they would come away completely look like Joker.
So Rick George said the turf will help Folsom Field host more non-football events, including concerts, keeping the field in better condition for game days, etc. So that's the reason why they're going to it. And again, out of convenience, I think you can understand it. But guys like playing on grass.
No doubt about it. But it's one of those things where Vic is right. Brett, you're a golfer now. Have you ever played a course in the spring and you think to yourself, man, this course did not winter that well? It just didn't come out of the winter.
Yeah, of course.
It didn't come out of the winter that well.
I've also played on them where they're like, hey, par threes where you're hitting off the turf pad. And you're like, ugh.
So imagine just a bunch of guys
that well.
Yeah, imagine a bunch of guys stomping around on it. I think over at Mile High they've got the hybrid system. They've got like the grass with the weaves. It's like woven into like a netting, I think. Mm-hmm. It's like a hybrid. You do the best you possibly can in cold weather climates.
What do you think is the most, as long as we're on this topic, the most famous piece of grass in the world? Lawn. What is it? In the world?
White House? South Lawn at the White House? I don't know.
Did you see Bryson DeChambeau playing golf at the White House on the lawn?
No.
You didn't see that video?
No, man, you don't take divots out of the White House lawn.
They actually cut out a green on the lawn.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
probably the kind that Snoop Dogg rolls.
Yeah. Willie Nelson's grass. Hey, Vic, do you have
Central Park?
Central Park doesn't have a ton of grass, bro.
Yeah, it does.
Like, what is it?
Well, it does, but it's also like a lot of rocks and trees and trails and ponds and all that kind of crap.
Grass you're not allowed to touch. Like, you can't even step
Well, Augusta.
You're allowed to touch that.
Grass that you're not allowed to touch.
Like, what is so sacred? It's like you can't even be near this. Get away.
Well, I don't know. There are times when this is going to sound dumb. When I go to Normandy and I go to the American Cemetery at Colville-sur-Mer right above Omaha Beach, there are times when they will have the entire, you can't walk on the grass because they're getting it, they get a lot of rain there too, so they're getting it, really nice, that sort of thing. And, I think any national big cemetery that cares.
I suppose you're right. Arlington?
Yeah.
You can walk the grass at Arlington. I've done that multiple times.
Here's the other question I had before we get to Brock Nelson, who's coming up in just a few minutes. Did you guys see how much money that Aaron Rodgers is making for the Steelers?
Is it about 14, something like that?
Incentivized money.
If I put these two things side by side, so he's got $12.5 million. That is the base. I think it's $10 million guaranteed. With incentives, it's a chance to make $19.5. Russell Wilson's contract is a $10 million contract with a chance to make up to $21 million. Does that surprise you?
Is Russell also a 1-year deal?
Also a 1-year deal.
Uh-huh.
But Russell Wilson has the chance to make more money than Aaron Rodgers this year. Doesn't surprise you?
They're at the same level.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, that's the question. Do you think they're the same level of a quarterback?
He's a soon-to-be 42-year-old guy who blew his Achilles 2 years ago and had a bad season last year.
You have no idea.
He's probably lucky he got a contract at all.
I mean, again,
he's not a $40 million a year player anymore.
It's a numbers game, I understand, but if you guys remember, Aaron Rodgers had 2 more touchdowns than Mahomes last year. He had the same amount of touchdown passes as Josh Allen did. Like, he still put up numbers, even though the team stunk, and I do think that it looked different.
Here's a different question. Would you rather have Russell Wilson at that number or Aaron Rodgers?
I think Rodgers. I think the ceiling of what he could do is higher than what Russell can, if that makes sense.
Hey, last thing before we break early to get to Brock. Vic, would you do me a favor, please? If we're friends on this show, even though we're adversaries at times, would you do me a favor, please? I'm going to speak for Brett and myself because you didn't include Nelly in this. Would you please not sick your tennis geeks on us anymore?
Oh, that was so good.
No, it wasn't No, it was dumb.
It was awesome.
Yesterday,
everybody.
It reminded me all these. I did Wimbledon. I don't think there's more sacred grass anywhere.
So I had to do it. I had to do it because yesterday, if you missed it on the show, I opened the show by saying we need to talk about the greatest sporting event I witnessed over the weekend, and that was the final at the French Open. And my cohorts on this program proceeded to ridicule me, calling me a tennis nerd. Nobody watched. Nobody cares. And I said, guys, you missed one of the great matches of all time. There were 3 championship points in this match that Carlos Alcaraz had to overcome to win. It was unreal. And you guys continue to assault my senses and call me, again, a tennis nerd. And yesterday I'm reading about how that match will go down as one of the greats of all time, and I just couldn't help but think, how dumb are my co-hosts?
Yeah.
Vic, if you like it, that's great. And if your people who responded like it, good for you. I'm not holding that against you. It ain't my thing. It ain't Brett's thing. But don't unleash those geeks on us, please.
I mean, the amount of things I've seen here. Americans don't. This is one of the responses to us, Moj. Americans don't like the sport because their dumb athletes can't play it, which I think is hysterical.
If LeBron James, at the age of 15, wanted to be the best tennis player on the planet, he would be. End of
Brett
story.
and Moser are wrong. If they don't like the sport, fine. But the men's final was a great. Go ahead and like it.
It's like he just unleashed a horde of tennis nerds on us. And if that's your thing, that's great.
That match was phenomenal. They're just jealous.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
I sound really jealous about it.
I wasn't jealous at all. I was just awestruck at the foolishness and ignorance not to respect and admire a sport for what it is. Great theater. That's what it was.
Brett, I didn't respond to any of those people, and I know you didn't either.
Because you have nothing to say.
But I watched it roll in, and I'm like, if you just want to talk about it, you don't have to tag us and unleash your minions of tennis geeks. You don't have to do it.
Why can't you just acknowledge you didn't watch it? Brett, you didn't watch it.
Mm-mm.
I'm here
I did acknowledge
to speak on behalf of all those who did, to say it was one of the greatest theaters of sport I've ever witnessed. It was 5.5 hours of theater. It was unbelievable. The match was won.
Can we just talk?
Had it.
Can we please talk hockey with Brock Nelson, please?
Beat it, nerd. Sick of your worthless chime-ins. I need to get to Brock Nelson next.
And Velnichushka now for Sam Malinsky. He holds, looking for a tip in front. Save made by Kemper. Rebound is there. Nelson turns and fires. He scores! It's Brock o'clock for the second time today. Nelson has 2, and the Avalanche, who are the best team in the National Hockey League, 6-on-5, do it again.
Hear from that man right now on the Ramos Law Hotline. Car accident, you need Ramos Law, medical doctor and attorney, ramoslaw.com, as we're joined by Brock Nelson, fresh off a 3-year contract extension. Brock, thank you for joining the show. First of all, have you found permanent residence now in Denver?
Thanks for having me. It's funny you say that. Actually, my wife and I just got to town, and we're going to be here for a couple of days trying to find something and trying to get settled and then get some stuff figured out for the kids as well. So we're excited.
Well, my wife's a realtor. If you need any help, please call. Leave your number right away, and we'll take care of you.
We'll have to pick her brain a bit.
Hey, Brock, how crazy is that, too? We've talked a lot about you and about your situation over the last couple of months, but, I mean, you're in one place for your entire career, and then you're traded to an entirely different conference in a city that you don't know. I mean, how, in addition to the new playing style and a new team, how crazy is it for your entire family? Because you have a wife and 4 kids, and I mean, it's just got to be mind-boggling.
Yeah, it feels like time's kind of flying by, and obviously the logistics of all that. We're trying to sort through them one step at a time and not get ahead of ourselves. And obviously, getting a contract was the first part of it. Now, living situation and schools and activities and all of that will kind of filter into place. But quite a bit different. Crazy situation, but obviously very fortunate to be in the spot that we were for so long. And we're obviously excited about the future as well, being in a great spot in a great city here. We loved our time, and albeit short, a couple months, but it was a great setup and great living.
Did you know you were going to come back, Brock, or was there things in your mind about going somewhere else, being a free agent and testing the waters?
I think you kind of flip-flop back and forth, just knowing obviously there's a lot of different scenarios and possibilities, but obviously we were able to work something out, and we were very excited about that. And like I said, I enjoyed my time here. I think it's a special group with a lot of special players and talent that has the opportunity to do something special. And it kind of felt like we were going to do that this past year. Obviously, it came up short and it was disappointing. So looking to come back and obviously build off that and go further. And to have that opportunity to be in a great spot, great city with a team that has a chance to win it over the course of the contract, I think was the biggest thing for me. And happy to get it done here.
Listen, Brock, you spent the bulk of your career in the New York City area, obviously far different than Colorado. So I'm always wondering, when you're a free agent and you're free to sign wherever you want, how much a factor is the city, the region, Colorado? Did that play a role?
Yeah, for sure. I think once, obviously, having been traded out of New York and the possibility of being a free agent, you start to look at maybe potential landing spots after the season and trying to think about what would be best for your family in different situations like that. And Colorado is probably one of the ones that was higher on the list for me in terms of just being closer proximity back to Minnesota is where my wife and I are from, and where we always spend the summer. And we've been out here a couple times before, and we've loved our trips out here. We've done some hiking trips up in the mountains that we've really enjoyed. So to have the opportunity to come explore a little bit more of Denver and get to know the city a little bit more, we knew it would be a great spot if it was an opportunity, and here we are.
Brock, anytime you lose in the postseason, it's devastating, whether it's a Game 7 of the first round or Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, whatever it may be. When you look back here and you know what you've learned, how you grew as a player with your line mates and teammates, what's the future look like? You seem pretty optimistic, and we're obviously optimistic, but how do you take what happened here against Dallas and then propel that for you going forward for the next 3 years, at least?
Yeah, I think it's just that in itself. I think we all said that this year, obviously disappointed how the way it ended. And see, Scott, it feels like sky is the limit here with the group and the players that they have with Kale and Nate, Gabe coming back, obviously a big piece, a voice in the room. Val, they made quite a few roster moves to kind of go out and show and prove to everybody out there they're trying to win it right now. And as a player, I think you can't ask for anything more than that. And it just felt like a special group. And even in that series against Dallas, it felt like, more of the games than not, we were the better team and would have liked to been playing further along and still now to to this day. But hockey's a funny game. I think you learn from that how small that margin of error is in the playoffs, and the opportunities that you maybe needed to cash in on to be a little bit more of a difference maker and turn the series in your favor. So use that as motivation, and obviously having that same optimism, because I think the group going to be relatively the same. The potential for us is extremely high.
That's the other thing you mentioned. They made a whole bunch of moves during the middle of the season, whether it was trade deadline or before that. Was it difficult to get chemistry down that quickly before the playoffs, and can this offseason help?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I wouldn't say it was an easy transition. I think it was a fine transition, but at the same time, I think the more you're familiar with the situation and having never gone through anything like that at the trade deadline or being traded in general, quite a different experience for me. And obviously, it was tough being away from the family. I think that was the hardest part with the kids and wife back in New York and just all that, and trying to filter through and process emotions and next steps and future, and a lot of situations run through your head. So to kind of be able to be here now, in the short term, near future for a few years, will help kind of settle everybody in, I think, and will only add to that chemistry and the comfort level of, just worrying about playing hockey.
Brock, when you get eliminated the way you did, a lot of players just they go off the deep end. They don't watch hockey. Can you get yourself to watch what we've watched here for the last few weeks?
This is probably one of the first years I've watched a little bit less than I would say I normally have. I think it was kind of tough. I actually spoke to Bedsy, I think, a few weeks after, and we were kind of on the same page and kind of shared the same feelings. That it probably took me a few weeks. I think the first game I really tuned into was maybe the Toronto Game 7. Couldn't really stomach watching the West, and I was going back to the East Coast to be with the family in New York, so obviously time change a little bit different too. But now I'm trying to tune in a little bit more to the finals and watching this, and obviously this is the pinnacle of it too. And our kids love the game too, and our oldest, I remember last year too, in the same spot, we would tune into some of the finals games, and he loves it. So that brings me back to it a little bit more.
That kind of helps, I think. You want the little ones get into it, right?
It kind of softens it a little bit. Obviously, there's definitely a little bitter taste, but to see the excitement for him to kind of be tuned in to all the scores in the games, it makes it a lot more fun.
So you didn't tell the kids, no, we're watching baseball.
No, well, he's actually in on that too. So we're back in Minnesota. He's big on the Twins now too, so he tunes in a little bit of those. So that's kind of nice.
Hey,
I'm reading here that your wife is a former Ms. Minnesota hockey in high school. You were a finalist for Mr. Minnesota. If you don't produce 4 wicked hockey players, something's going wrong.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we got a lot of mini sticks and sticks around the house. So yeah, my wife, she was great. She actually helped out a little bit with them in New York for a few years, just kind of getting them learn to play on the ice and skate and helping out some other kids. And it's fun to have her to be able to kind of share it, and she understands everything with the game and explaining to the kids that sometimes they're a little confused, but Mom is a pretty good player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, listen, I've had to educate these guys about you a little bit, and I was proud to do it. I'm going to lay a little bit more on them. Listen, you're not a spring chicken anymore, but you're not an old guy. You have a lot of production in those legs. There's no doubt about it. I've been arguing to these guys, Brock, and no dispersions cast on your former team, but the Islanders weren't a super high-scoring team. You've got guys around you here who can really pass the puck and bury the puck. When you think about, again, here at the age of 33, but the possibilities of maybe your best hockey in front of you, do you think about that? Is that even possible?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's part of it too. I think, like the talent and the skill that they have here and the opportunity to kind of blend in, and hopefully it's a great combination for the future, and something that you can use as motivation to push yourself as well. I feel great. I know, in sports and hockey, it feels like they age you a couple of years, and I obviously have the gray hairs to show for it too. But I feel great. I feel young, and I feel like there's a lot of pep in my step still, and good years ahead. So hoping to push myself and always try to continue to get better, and that could show in terms of offensive numbers, and I hope that's the plan.
Hey, Brock, let me take you back. If you remember the game that you guys played against Montreal that went into the shootout that you hit the game winner on, I believe that was the game that Jonathan Drouin went to Coach Bednar and said, hey, I think Brock's got a move that can beat this guy. First of all, is that true? Second of all, what was the move? What was he talking about?
I didn't catch it, but if he did, that's obviously a good little pre-scout, and he knew, because, we didn't really even exchange what I would have done in that situation. I think we talked a little bit maybe about shifts and just how different things, and I think that one just felt like I feel like I had scored 5-0 before maybe on the goalie, and that one in the shootout, I just felt like if I could come on that same angle and maybe just get him thinking a little bit, and low glove sometimes is there. I think as a lefty coming across and you get enough angle change on it, it's a good shot. So fortunately I hit the spot.
All right, last thing for you. We certainly appreciate your time. It's great to have you back, man, for another 3 years at least. Up the middle, you guys are super strong. Heck, the whole team is super strong. You know, you got a little bit unfortunate there in that Game 7. Okay, all hockey aside, you're from Warroad, Minnesota, which, guys, is way north up there on the lake, way up there. And I'm looking at this golf course, Warroad Estates Golf Course. Is that a dog track or is that decent?
Well, it depends on who you ask. When you ask you, that was my first job. I worked out there on the golf course for 4 or 5 years. My brother did as well. So small maintenance crew, like 4 or 5 guys, and took care of the course. And we lived on the course growing up, so we took advantage. We had free golf. We were able to kind of run around. I would say it's when you're growing up there, it's an awesome track and one of the best ones in the area. It's a tight track, a lot of water, and then obviously you get out and you live in Long Island. You play some of the golf courses out there. It doesn't hold a candle to some of those ones out in the Hamptons, like a Shinnecock. But growing up, it was awesome.
Hey, Brock, good luck house hunting here in Denver. The typical Denver real estate agent takes 2.5-3% commission. My wife will do it for 25.
Yeah.
So give us a call.
I like it. Sounds good.
See you, buddy.
All right, thanks for the time, Brock.
Thanks for having me.
There you go. Brock Nelson, again, fresh off that 3-year contract extension.
We talked about it when we talked about him, that your whole world is upended. A wife and 4 kids, a house on Long Island, right? And by the way, you're going all the way to the Rocky Mountains, and you're going to play hockey there.
How much do you think a house on Long Island costs compared to I think the price is almost comparable now, where it used to be 2 to 1.
The taxes, though, are crazy on Long Island. I do know that. Yeah. Like the property taxes per year.
The median sale price of a home on Long Island is around $705,000.
That's hey. Now do Denver. Now do Denver.
Oh yeah.
It's not that far off.
Look at you.
In fact, I would estimate it's pretty damn close.
The average home value in Denver is currently $568,000.
Dude, let me tell you something. 10, 20 years ago, it'd be 2 to 1.
Yeah, it certainly would. Hey,
Denver's catching up in a hurry.
But seriously though, man, you completely upended. You got to ingratiate yourself with new line mates, new teammates, new everything, right? How to even get to the rink on a daily basis. I think this guy, man, he's a damn good hockey player. I think he has the potential just to be an awesome 2C here. Mm-hmm. For the next 3 years and do some really good things.
Well, he said it like the transition over here to try and build chemistry. He goes, it was fine, but what did he say? It wasn't ideal or something like that,
well,
right?
Because it's completely, you're changing your entire life.
Well, and think about this. And think about this. He didn't just have, a pretty limited amount of time from the trade deadline to when the playoffs started.
Yeah.
He then went into the playoffs, and then it was like, oh, here's Landeskog. Here, do that. Yeah. Here's a new guy. Go do that.
He comes off as a very stable veteran.
Sure.
That's exactly right.
I was going to ask it, but I didn't know if we ran out of time. You didn't ask him about the Edmonton situation last night, Kaner.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, this guy, and again, I know it's a small sample size and an Avs sweater, but he's had some good, deep playoff runs on the island, okay? He knows what that hockey's all about. I just think that this is a crucial get back for this club. Like I said, up the middle, I think they're going to be stout all year long. They've put themselves in a good position by getting him back under contract, and I'm looking forward to it.
Do we have a couple minutes left in this segment?
Yeah.
Can we play the sound from Gabriel Landeskog on Sunday? He's at the DNVR Sports Bar, Fresh Tape Media, the red carpet for the final episode of A Clean Sheet following Gabriel Landeskog during his rehab, and he described the final episode. Is that final episode aired yet? Is it due to air at some point?
I thought it aired before the game yesterday. I missed it.
Did it? Okay. If so, anyway, during the interview process, he's up there. My boy Jared Kleinstein, who runs Fresh Tape Media, he's sitting next to Gabe, and Gabe is asked about what was it like during rehab with the kids, because Gabe's youngest has never seen him play hockey. He's never seen him play hockey, right? And when it was known that he was coming back to play, the youngest sort of sort of had some fun with it. Listen to this story that Gabe gave the crowd. I thought it was hilarious.
Every week, we go downstairs in the basement. He goes, "Oh, you want to play hockey, Daddy?" "Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd love to." We go downstairs in the basement. He goes, "Okay, pretend like I'm killing the car." He goes, "You're Gabe Landeskog?" He goes, "Okay, I'm going to cut you with my skate." Literally, like, I haven't lived through this enough. And this is like the last year, right? And the most dramatic, he goes, and just like, he falls down, and I'm like, literally.
You're Gabe Landeskog. I'm Cale Makar. I'm going to cut you with my skate.
Hey, buddy, can we play I'm Gabe Landeskog and I knock one inside the post in my return and the crowd goes quick. We
open.
But the fact that he can talk about it, I mean, imagine where we are right now. He can talk about it. The comeback has been made. He can laugh about it. He can tell that story and the crowd can find it cute because it's cute as hell, right? With just a little guy, you know. And where this guy was, though, for the last, we talked about it. Last game of 2022 to coming back this post almost 3 years later, it's a remarkable story. And the fact that you can have some giggles about it and you can tell that funny story and it's a really cool thing.
I don't remember playing any games in the basement with Eazy-E. I don't have any memories of those. Did you play games?
Yeah, I played a really fun game with my dad. It's called Pull the Weeds.
Mine was called Lay the Cement and Make Some Revenue for the family.
Yeah. Uh-huh. My game with my dad was called Mow the Lawn.
Hey, my game was called Get Rid of These Bodies Before the Police Arrive.
Yeah. It was, hey, Brett.
Really?
Hey, Brett, here's my game.
Wow.
Let's bleed the brakes on the car. You have no idea what that means.
Nope.
Let's bleed the brakes and try not to get yelled at. That was a great game. That was any kid. Hold on a second.
Usual with my whiskey.
Didn't know Eazy-E was just short for John Gotti, and Vic's like,
Thank you.
Well, be careful what you say on this show.
Hey, Kaner.
I'm pretty careful.
Kaner, back in the day, brake lines.
I'm actually in the witness protection program. I grew up on the island.
You're in Witsec?
Excuse me.
Back in the day, brake lines would get air in them, right? And you had to bleed the brakes to get the air out. So
I don't even know what the hell that means.
So that the brake fluid had no air in it, so it would work properly.
So what do you do? Do you go in there with your mouth and suck it out?
No, you've got to pump somebody's got to be in the car pumping the brake and holding it.
Terrible question.
While the old man is underneath the car, opening up the brake line and bleeding out it's
fascinating.
It's because it's like moving furniture with your wife. Does it ever end well? If you and your wife have to rearrange furniture in a house or carry a couch upstairs, Brett, or whatever it may be.
That never ends well.
Does that ever end well, or does it end with somebody's getting hurt or somebody saying the F word to the other person?
Yeah, it's just an attitude problem.
It is.
Not on my part.
Okay.
Hey, there's something I've been sitting on all day that we need to play. It's a gem. It's made by one of our listeners. You got to hear this next. Okay, so you remember last week, Vic, when we were talking about Moser being Batman and the fun that would be if he had the Batmobile, if Moser was going around fighting crime at night?
No, we were talking about replacing the head gasket on the Batmobile.
No, it was you being Batman.
Whatever.
We had a listener who sent this to us. Now, this is the beauty of what AI can do now, I guess. But this is from your favorite Uncle Al, who's a listener to the show. That's his Twitter handle. I don't know his name. I'll assume Al. He made a spot. If Moser was Batman, and Moser does these cigar commercials, he made a spot for what would be Gotham cigars in smokes. Here's what it sounds like.
Hey, this is Mark Moser, and totally not Batman for Gotham Cigar and Smokes. Gotham Cigar and Smokes is all your smoking needs from Romeo and Julieta to Shucky Ducky Quack Quack. There's even a back room where you can smoke it up and watch the blades carve it up on the ice while you have all-you-can-eat pizza left over from my truck. So come on down to Gotham Cigar and Smokes and enjoy yourself before the criminals rob it. And tell them Batman sent you. All-you-can-eat pizza limited to 5 slices.
I don't know. I think Mark Moser being Batman in Gotham City and also doing ads for a cigar shop as Batman has unlimited capabilities.
Bro, this AI stuff is crazy. It's crazy. Like, those of you driving around Metro Denver and parts unknown, how do you know you're actually listening to us right now? And this isn't a pre-programmed AI show that we did weeks. How do you know that? You don't know. You don't know.
You know, what bothers
Shucky Ducky Quack Quack.
What bothers me about AI, especially in the creativity realm, that's like, these people are like, did you know AI made this is 5 minutes of a movie made by AI? And I go, that's bad. We need the creative places to stay the creative places. We can't have robots do that. I agree. We can't have robots writing books. I
agree with you. Like some of you say, well, we're watching you right now on television on Twitch. How do you know it's us? This could be an AI model. You don't know. You don't own my rights.
It's pretty weird.
What do you think I am?
It's pretty weird. What could I say right now that would prove that I'm really talking into this microphone and I'm not AI?
That's a great question because we're going to have to get to that
question. Wait, we're going to have like an Inception where they have is it called a totem or something, right? Their own little personal thing that only they have to make sure they're in reality, right?
Like say something that only we would know that's really you. Give us something that we would be able to identify Mark Moser with that most people just aren't privy to. Give us something.
I don't know.
How about this?
That's just what an AI robot would say.
How about this? How about this? If you said this, I'm Mark Moser, I'm going to take a mulligan there. I would know it's you.
I would
know 100% it's you.
No, because AI would definitely.
It wouldn't know that. It wouldn't know our stories, our exchanges on the golf course.
All
it
has to
wouldn't know
hear
that.
is one time, and it locks it in its memory bank. Are you still driving that Honda?
Oh, yeah? AI, try and do this.
You will always know when it is truly me.
Like they can't pull that up. No, they can't.
Sure they can.
They cannot.
How about my Einstein?
Ding, 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 dong, dong. Yeah, that's a good one.
If I did my Einstein imitation, my piano playing Einstein, would that work?
You know what? It'd be easy for me. Not even AI can do horrible impersonations like I can. They can't get that bad.
That is true.
Yes. If I do you know what? That's actually great. If you asked, but this is what's weird. You'd be trying to prove something is fake because it couldn't actually do what you do. And in that case, AI would be too good, in which we'd sniff that out immediately if Vic did a good impression.
Right. That's the point. If we ever hear Vic doing a spot-on German accent, robots.
We're like,
we're in the
all
Matrix.
Right, we're gonna have to kill that thing.
Well, spot on any accent other than his normal voice in Italian.
Yeah, sure.
Anything else would be awful.
If Vic ever stops talking about the fact that he went to Augusta, he's a robot.
I got it, Moshe. I know exactly how to tell it's you. One of two things. That sound that emanates from you.
Yeah.
AI can't do that. Or this. Every morning at 7:02. So So
how about this?
It's that first sip of coffee for you in the morning. You get the little gurgles right there for about 2 minutes, and then you're good. That AI can't do that.
If I had to question AI Moser, I'd say, okay, AI Moser, show me how you eat that burrito. Just show me what is the process in eating it. We would know in 2 seconds.
You're a unique eater. I could tell immediately, I think, by just eating something if it's
He's
you or
a
not.
shovel eater. Unique is not the word.
It's just it's huge bites. It's very big bites.
It's a shovel. That would do it. 100%.
What's me? Well, how would you tell if it's me?
I don't know. It's a great question.
Pretty vanilla.
What'd you say?
Pretty plain Jane vanilla.
Don't talk about his complexion. Talk about his personality.
Was that vanilla?
I don't know what I would ask you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
Maybe I am a robot, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
Ever considered that?
Could be. No, if he was doing a show wearing like a nice collared shirt and a nice pair of shorts,
yeah,
that's true.
Then we'd realize it's AI Brett, not real Brett.
I don't know.
Unless the shorts have the jelly stain on it.
No. I got it for AI Brett. Like an adult male in his 30s. Hey, who is your car insurance carrier? And if AI were to give me the answer, it's not Brett.
Good call. Very good.
That's
call.
it.
Very good call.
That's it.
Hey, Vic, are you going to go out to minicamp, to the Broncos minicamp?
No, not today.
I have to agree with one Scott Hastings.
Yeah.
Where he said, I think it's going to be very, very boring, and that's a good thing. I think it's going to be boring.
I think that's a great point.
It's going to be boring, and
what
it's going to be.
See?
Well, I know, but
fireworks?
you just plow through until you get to training camp.
I mean, what do people? I mean, I've always had this fascination with. We in the media, we gather together, and there's 50 people at OTAs last week. What did you think you were going to see?
Yeah, but I think you're looking at it the wrong way. When he says boring, he doesn't mean like storylines. It was 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, Russell Wilson, right?
Yeah.
2 years ago, Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Last year, Bo Nix. This year, kind of nothing, and it's actually pretty nice.
Sure, I gotcha. The only thing that would change is if they were to come to terms with J.K. Dobbins out of thin air. He shows up.
What's interesting too is he shows up.
Yeah.
Goes to the facilities, has dinner, all this kind of stuff, and then he's just leaves without a contract. It must be he's asking for too much. I don't know, or maybe he's still looking for the best fit. I don't know.
People are going to take note today, especially who's running with the ones in the running back room, who's running with the ones at this position, who's running with the ones. What are the ones? And I'm here to tell you, I don't know if it matters that much at minicamp. I just don't know. I don't know yet.
Especially not for the rookies. If you remember last year, going into the first game of the preseason, I think all rookies were like last on the depth chart, and it's like Peyton goes, it's not actually where they're at.
You look at Trey Hendrickson, right? He wants. I mean, the problem with Cincinnati is they've paid their quarterback and their two wideouts half the flipping salary cap.
Well, they decided that T. Higgins was more valuable than Trey Hendrickson.
And Hendrickson's like, I'm not. I mean, he's an awesome defensive end, right? He's like, I'm not showing up to minicamp. Well, that's a problem. Terry McLaurin in Washington, I'm not showing up to minicamp. That's a problem. I don't have any problems right now. There are guys who want new contracts. There are guys who are probably going to get new contracts, but there's no drama going on right now. There's no angst and anger that I can tell. And that's part of the Scott Hastings definition of boring, and I think he's absolutely correct.
This from ESPN, by the way, just a few minutes ago, from Heather Dinich. Deion Sanders has been ill and out of the office recently, a source confirmed to ESPN. Sanders has been at his estate in Texas dealing with an unspecified health issue as the school's annual summer football camps began last week. Timetable for his return is unknown, but his eldest son, Deion Sanders Jr., appeared on a YouTube live stream from their Texas home saying his father was feeling well.
Good.
We canceled his speaking engagement for June 8th in Florida at the Sickle Cell Disease Research and Educational Symposium. I don't know what this is, but Deion's had some problems before that involved some, I guess, intervention is the way to put it. So hopefully he's all right.
What do you mean by that?
Well, didn't he have he had stuff in his legs that he had to get cut out last year, didn't he?
I mean, hell, yeah. His first year at CU, remember, he was in and out of the hospital.
That's what he meant by intervention. Sorry. It's just like he had surgery or stuff had to be done. So hopefully that's not the case.
It's been blood clots has been his problem.
Yes, right.
Blood clots in his legs and in his feet. They took 2 toes off for crying out loud.
Right.
It's not good.
So I don't know. Again, unspecified health issue, no timetable to return as of right now. Hopefully he's all right. His son, Dion Jr., said that he's feeling well. So hopefully everything's okay. It's just, a little freaky whenever you hear about that with Dion. And especially, with, you would imagine, brand new situation coming up this year, brand new quarterback, probably wants to be at camp even early at this portion in the calendar just to get things, all your ducks in a row and get to know what your new roster is, because that's what it is in college football every year.
Hey, I'm trying to think back. We've got no NBA game tonight. We've got no NHL game tonight. I'm trying to think back. Did the Avs have 2 days off in between games during the Cup Final of 22?
I think they did. I don't remember, by the way.
Did.
Vic, I don't remember
because remember the schedule was pushed so far. You were in late June when you finally won in 6 games, not even 7.
Well, here's what I don't remember. I
mean, I was there in Tampa.
Well, hang on. I don't remember the NBA going Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday. That seems insane. So here's the dates. So they had. Yeah, they played June 15th, game 1 against Tampa. Then it was 2 days off. They played the 18th.
Okay.
And then it was 18th, 20th, 22nd, 24th, 26th. So after that, it was just a day off.
Every other day.
So they had 2 off between 1 and 2.
Do you think that Bettman and Silver get together with their peeps and say, all right, let's split it up here. Nobody's going to rain on anybody else's parade.
Oh, really? Because they didn't do that during the Nuggets-Avs first round.
Of course they didn't, because they're trying to get the games in. Now they've got all the opportunity in the world to space them out and do whatever it is they want to do. When are the next games scheduled for anyway? I'm not even sure that I know.
What, the hockey game?
Yeah, what's the schedule look
October 2nd is the next game.
That's what it feels like.
Thursday at 6?
It's going to be, it's Thursday, then Saturday, then Tuesday. So they're going to have 1 day off, flying back to Edmonton for game.
It's a lot of space in between.
5. Whatever.
The old hurry up and wait system? Is that what we're looking at now?
I just want a game tonight. That's all. I want a game tonight.
Oh, Rockies play tonight.
Yeah, the Rockies play.
Yeah, the Giants are in town.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
We should go. Buy me tickets, Moj.
Dad,
buy me tickets. Buy me tickets, Moj, he says.
Yeah.
You'd exactly like that, wouldn't you?
Give me stuff. Yeah.
Let's see. The Giants are a big-time favorite tonight. Yeah, Giants are a big-time favorite.
I'm allowing you to vacation with me in my homeland. Buy me tickets.
See, San Francisco Giants are 38-28. They've won 5 in a row. So, yeah, they came in hot. Rockies just got swept at home. That is a dub.
You calling it today, Nelly?
Moser, you started something with those little fly salt guns. We are what's happening in my household I never saw.
It's pretty much carnage. I saw the video.
Wait, so now is the Queen getting in on the hunting?
Oh, we're just hunting. I mean, it's just.
But she said, well,
hunting grounds here.
Was it her or you that nailed the spider?
I did.
Okay, and she said, "Oh, he's suffering." I mean, she said he's suffering. Step on him, and I'm like, what? Okay. I mean, you'd have no problem whacking a fly with a fly swatter, right?
Yeah, I try and be nice. I think I've said this on the air before. I have a long-standing theory when it comes to bugs. Outside, you're cool. You step one wing inside my house.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens next happens.
Okay, what about wasps and bees that assemble on your porch?
they're going to be shooed. There's going to be spray. There's going to be some other things that are going to happen. You need to get away.
Bees are fine. Bees are fine. Wasps, I don't do.
Bees are not fine.
Bees are fine.
I agree with Vic. They're not fine to me.
Bees are not fine.
You find somewhere else. Find somewhere else to go.
You want to do your little thing, go to Moser's place. I ain't doing it here. It's my house.
I agree with you.
Yesterday,
but they get if they're near the house on the outside, they get a warning. The warning is some spray.
Vic, though, I need to know your technique. So yesterday you sent a video to the group chat where you had the camera behind the barrel of the gun like a first-person shooter video game.
It was like playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, it looked like you were playing the original Doom video game, and you were walking around the house going, "Come here, Waspy." What was your gun and camera setup technique there?
I just had it right over the trigger point, and one left hand was with the phone, right hand was with the salt gun.
Yeah, but you kept missing. You need two hands on that sucker, and for accuracy, you'll get him every time.
First, I'm not that guy. You know me. I'm not that guy.
No, you're not a hunter guy.
You
at all.
weaponized me.
I'm sorry.
Which is what you did. You weaponized me.
I apologize. I remember the time you went hunting with Joel Dreesen, and you wore that outfit like you were fox hunting in England. Mm-hmm. You look like an idiot.
Wait, did you cosplay on, or did you put the war paint on?
No, he didn't.
I was wearing
he was wearing a tweed jacket and a bowler hat,
fedora-like hat.
Yeah.
Wait,
a vest and a tie.
Okay, so
it was ridiculous.
You were like an old rich
English
man that was
fox
skeet
hunter.
shooting outside of his backyard.
Like you'd think what Prince Charles would look like on a pheasant hunt,
I didn't understand why I didn't fit in.
or King Charles, or whatever.
These guys were wearing all this camouflage, hiding in these weird pits. I'm there with my suit, nice shoes.
He's looking like a Rockefeller.
He's got
out
leather
there.
loafers on and a duck blind.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, man. It's awful. Now,
most people have sense that wouldn't scare the animals away. It's just your car
I've
all
always
over
said,
the woods.
Always overdress, even when going hunting.
Aha.
Texture says Elmer Fudd. That's what I'm picturing.
No, Elmer Fudd at least looked the part.
All right. Fact checker coming your way next. All right, so nothing on tonight as far as NHL and NBA Finals stuff. The next game will be tomorrow as OKC and the Thunder play again, this time in Indiana.
OKC and the Thunder?
OKC and Indiana, sorry. OKC and...
Nailed it.
If the Thunder played an inter-squad scrimmage,
yeah,
what would that look like?
Be a hell of a game because there's a lot of dudes who aren't even playing.
That's
Have
what
you
I'm thinking.
seen Jalen Williams, the other guy, since the Nuggets series? I
No.
haven't seen him.
No, but you know what? He didn't play a ton in the Nuggets series.
Yeah, he did. He came off the bench and handled Joker, tried to manhandle Joker for the first 5 games of that series.
But
Yeah, he did. He didn't play much in Game 7, but in the early part of that series, he was all over the place.
I think I'll go back and look. I think to Moser's credit, I don't think he was getting like 20-some minutes a game.
No, but he was the guy off the bench. As soon as they were done with Hartenstein trying to guard Joker, they brought him in.
Yeah.
Until they went to their secret weapon, Caruso, in Game 6 and 7. Attempted.
I just picked a random game in this just to see how many. So he got 10 minutes in Game 5. You guys remember Game 5?
Don't remember. I was there. The Nuggets were leading again in the 4th. They were leading. They had the game.
Jokic put up 44 points in 17 and 25 from the field, and they lost.
They had the game.
I remember that.
Had the game, just like Game 4. Had the game. Could have come home with a chance to wrap up the series in Game 6. Hey, I read something. Sean Keeler for the Denver Post, he has a column today. Sean's great. He always has me thinking, always evokes profound thought. But he says, the Nuggets, new GM, whoever they hire, they can't stand pat. They've got to do something. And I keep reading this. We're all in agreement. But nobody suggests what that something is.
Well,
I guess it's easy for us all to say they got to do something to compete because these teams are not going anywhere. Minnesota's not going anywhere. OKC's. We all agree. But given their situation, what do you do? What?
Well, Vic, I did as I do every Sunday. Woke up in the morning. Me and baby Jamal Kale went to the grocery store together. She got a donut. We got mommy flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came home and she brought daddy the paper. So I did my crossword puzzle first. And then I opened up the sports section. I saw Bennett Durando's piece. I don't know if you read this on Sunday.
Yeah.
He had the suggestions. This was all revolving around KD. Okay? So at least there was a specific subject. And the trades were involving, one was Jamal. Another was Porter and I believe Zeke, along with other stuff. Or no, Porter and Watson, along with other stuff, like picks. And the final one was Porter and Christian Brown for Kevin Durant. So these were specific. The question is, what would you think about KD given how much you'd have to give up to get him here? If we're talking more, and this is, what I'm getting at is, Durant is still a phenomenal player, even at, how old is he now, 36?
He's 36 years of age.
Going to be 37 by the time next season starts.
Look at your television right now. What does it say?
Could both Durant and Jason Kidd be heading to the Knicks? So, hang on a second. Here's what I'm asking. Sounds like a cool idea. That doesn't change the depth problem. That just reshuffles a piece in the starting lineup.
In fact, it probably makes it worse because it's going to take 2 people to go get him.
Yep. So, as much, do you think that the starting 5 raising the tide of maybe going from a Porter to a KD is enough to make up for the depth issue that you had?
That's the problem with trying to do something. Everybody says do something. Well, to get somebody of significance, you have to give up somebody. So all you're doing is
multiple people. Let's be honest. Multiple.
Are you necessarily getting better, or are you just doing the same? They've got a depth issue, and the depth issue cannot get fixed by making one trade for a key player. A depth issue, I don't know how you fix it without time and draft picks.
Well, here's what we were talking about earlier. We were talking about Bruce Brown, who very much is like...
Yeah, I was going to say, can you give me the update again on Brucey B stuff? Because everything I read is that, what I've been reading, Sports Illustrated says, hey, man, he's got to go to the Rockets. And I read another article, the Pelicans, they got to re-sign him. And I mean, all this, a lot of pressure is on them to get him back in the fold. And what's he saying?
Well, here you go. Imagine this. Imagine for a moment you're Brad Pitt. Or Vic Moj, in your case, Matt Damon. Okay? And you're bellied up to a bar, you're just having a drink after work. About to head home. And you look across the bar and there's a girl doing this. A lot of batting of the eyelashes, a lot of looking, a lot of suggestive things happening across the table. That person happens to be Bruce Brown, and you happen to be the Nuggets right now, because every single indication he has, at least on social media, is that he wants back. And I think it's pretty clear, even when he went to the game, Vic, you interviewed him, talked about he wants back with the Nuggets. If he's willing to accept the mid-level exception, then you have one of those. That could be one piece that you add there.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that would leave you, here's like my thought on this. I'm assuming they aren't making a big move. I think you need 3 absolute trusted pieces off the bench that you know can give you minutes. Bruce Brown would be obviously one. I think Peyton Watson's 2. I think Peyton Watson's got room to get better, but you trust him being in the game.
Is Strother a piece?
I don't think so yet, due to injury and some other things.
And Deron Holmes could be a piece, but we have no idea.
But this is why the third is I really want Westbrook just to opt back in because he's trusted. You trust him with minutes. Okay? So then that leaves you the other options. It's all the stuff you just discussed. Can Strother be a trusted guy? Can Deron Holmes be a dude, which we haven't seen yet at all?
I would hope so, but you never know.
Look, man, if there's a veteran player who's good, who's like 27 that has the injury he has, you're still wondering how he looks afterwards, right? And this is a guy we haven't seen yet.
For sure.
And then finally, I think Jalen Pickett's the other wild card. Here's my question earlier, by the way. So that's 11 guys I just named potentially if Bruce Brown comes in, but guys who are on the roster, right? Is Zeke part of that discussion at all or not? Or are we done with that? Is Zeke that? Do I put him in that mold of like Pickett's and Deron Holmes guys?
You know, I guess I'll take a page from Sean's column. How many times can we ask the same question in the offseason?
Right.
How many times are we going to do this?
I agree.
How many times are we going to say, all right, here it is. Let's go. All right, your time now. Let's go. All right, you're on the platform. You're on the springboard. Let's go.
What is Zeke? Is Zeke going into year 6 or year 5? What is it, 5 or 6 for him?
I'd have to look it up, but you're right in the ballpark. Well, we're going to find out, I think, relatively quickly, Vic, exactly what his situation is. And you know why? Because either David Adelman is going to play him or he's not going to play him. If he plays him, that means he thinks he can play. If he doesn't play him, that means he thinks he cannot play. I don't know what to make of it.
Zeke was drafted in 2020.
It's crazy.
2020. And we're still asking the same damn question. That's 5 years of NBA basketball that he's played.
Already, yeah, he's going into year 6.
He's going into year 6.
Yeah.
I think that's a little too long to be asking the question.
Yeah, I think you answered your own question.
But then what do you do?
Not much you can do.
Yeah. You aren't going to cut him.
What's crazy is that in the 21-22 season, only 41 games played, but he played 17 minutes a game.
Yeah.
The following year, down to 13.7. 23-24, the year after the championship, 9.9.
Again?
I mean...
And I would say even this year, it dropped from last year. The reason the minutes are skewed a little bit is because he had to start 4 games.
Correct. That's correct. So, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, Vic. I have no idea, but you either have a guy that can play or a major albatross. And I really don't know because he's only 24 years of age. I don't know how good he can be. Nobody does, I don't think. Maybe David Adelman does, but I have no clue.
You know, a texter makes a decent point here on Twitch. I would hate the Nuggets if I was Zeke. I mean, you for one reason, well, they paid you. So
why would you hate them to the tune of 8.8 per? Why would you hate them for that?
But it would be like, what am I doing with my career here? Like, it's one thing to get a check, Moj, but it's like if you want to play basketball and they refuse to put you in the game, you're like,
I'll tell you what,
then get rid of me. And they can't.
Why don't we do this? I'll tell you what, Zeke. Let's say there was no CBA. I can pay you 8.8 to get in the layup line and then hang for a game. Or I can send you someplace else. You'll get 3.1. You can play 25 minutes. What do you think he'd take? I'm sure he wants to play, but he ain't getting 8.8 from any other human being on the planet.
Because that decision is going to be set at the feet of one Dario Saric here. I'm sure he wants to play, and he'll have the opportunity to play somewhere in Europe, but not at the number the Nuggets are going to pay him. So what is he going to do? You know what's going to happen here. We all know what's going to happen. He ain't going to willingly walk away from $5.4 million. That ain't happening. So he's going to wait it out.
What's the situation? If he gets offered a contract by a team, let's say it's that Tel Aviv team, okay, just for example. Let's say it's them, and they say, hey, we'll pay you
2.1.
Yeah, 2.1. Does that get removed from the Nuggets salary that they owe him? Or because that's a different league, do they still owe him the money and he gets that money on top of it? Does that make sense?
I don't know if he has one of those clauses in his contract, because coaches have those clauses. Those, if we are paying you, like Michael Malone is owed, what, $25 million? If he's hired by the Knicks and they pay him, whatever they're paying him, the Nuggets no longer have
But that's
to pay.
in the NBA. That's not in Europe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that contract stipulates. I don't.
Yeah, he's going to be faced with a decision, though, too. Reminder to you guys, head over to altitudesportsradio.com/pick'em to enter the Altitude Sports Radio Golf Pick'em. Just pick 4 golfers, one from each of the 4 different groups, and you're entered. The entry with the most golfers that total the most prize money is the winner. Prize package, a foursome at the Ridge Castle Pines, 4 tickets to the U.S. Senior Open at the Broadmoor, and a Surfside prize package that includes a new Arctic cooler, thanks to Surfside Lemonade and Vodka, only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, and 0 bubbles. Look for the can with the sunset stripes at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Enter now. AltitudeSportsRadio.com/pick'em for your chance to win. Fact checker.
Nelly monitors the mistakes in today's Fact Checker. Presented by Rock Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Your local home comfort specialists. RockHeating.com. Rock, bringing comfort home and simplifying your life.
John Mitchell caught up with us earlier today, and he joined an elite club on this program. So let me set the stage first. This was Brett back in mid-March.
You have to accept the fact they aren't good on defense right now, and they won't be. There is no flip that they're going to switch when the playoffs hit, okay?
So that was in March. Here's Vic in late April.
Everything was working beautifully. And then switch of the flip. Flip of the switch.
All right, and here was John Mitchell a few hours ago.
And don't think for a second, I can't remember if it was Vic or Moser said, hey, if the flip was script, if it was flipped, the script, and it was the other way around.
Welcome to the club, Mitchie.
Why is it so hard for everybody?
You earned
I don't know. No more flipping this damn thing. Let it be.
I asked that, and I was made fun of when I said, is it flip the switch or switch the flip, or which one is it? And you know what? To be honest, I don't think it matters anymore. Whatever you feel like saying is okay. You can find the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Search Moser, Lombardi, and Kane.
That's a good pull, Nelly.
That's a really good pull. That is a fact checker. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Love you. Bye.
Flip the flop.
Hey, if the flip was script, if it was flipped, the script,